What's good? Welcome back to Man Down Sports. As you can see from the thumbnail, we have to get into another, pretty much another topic about the GOAT conversation. And this is gonna be surrounded around LeBron James. I think a while back I was, doing a series of these videos where there was a lot of players telling us why they thought Kobe should be in the conversation, or why he deserved more love, or why they think he's so great. Of course, you got former players and current players and former coaches coming out saying Michael Jordan is the GOAT. It's a lot of videos like that. Now, I cover some of that stuff. And I think the last time I covered a video where someone was saying they thought LeBron James was the GOAT, I think it was David West. And I broke that video down. And I think I read a comment where someone was saying, I never talk about the videos or the players that think Kobe is the GOAT. So I'm gonna do that today. We're gonna start that off, and then of course you see everything else is on the rundown. We got a lot of stuff to get into, man. I kind of want to contrast the difference between a person or a fan or a former player or even a current player on why they think LeBron is the GOAT, and it's a common thing with people who think that way. And with that common thing, we'll get to it. And then for the people and the fans that think Michael Jordan or Kobe is it, it's almost like these people think with with different sides of their brain, because the logic is so different. And I'm gonna try to point some of that out and break it down. So we'll get into that, man. Everybody, I'm gonna give y'all a chance to get in here. I see Frankie in here from Guam. What's up, my brother? Half a day. Greg Anderson moderating here. Mikey Brass moderating here. What's up? He said my clock is broke. Now I was here, but I don't know. I had spilled a whole bunch of baby oil on the table, and I was kind of rubbing it off. Trying to get that out the way. My face was a little glossy. I had baby oil everywhere. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, as you come in, make sure you hit the like button. That's the first and foremost thing. Hit the share button. Let's get some more people in here. If you're not subscribed, it's your first time in here, hit the subscribe button. All those things are dope. I do want to give a shout out to all my members: Mikey Brash, Young Disciple, Cedric Franklin, The Real Mr. Cropper, That Cool Dude 8897, Ida Tomlinson, E. King, Steve Calbert, Right Hand Cam, the Joker 687, Scott Merriweather, Unspoken Voices, Taco Master 64 Slim, Keith Brazil, Savon Arner, Ryan Walters, Chris Anderson, Beast Mode Bones, Jay Barrett, WW, Shay J. What's up, Shay J? R. Bean, Jeffrey Gower, Funky Town, my guy. Liquid Swords, what's up, homie? Shy Rider, West Sider, 23 always in the house. A. Harkins, ain't seen you in a while. Where you been? Michael Tafoya, Wizman, Ballin, and Malachi Israel. I appreciate every last one of y'all, man, for being members. Y'all keep the Jeep riding. Yeah, I appreciate y'all 100%. Let's see who else we got in the comment section before we start. Half a day. Yeah, Joe Smith. Y'all go hear his logic. And I'm gonna open the phone lines up too. I think that's all the housekeeping. This episode is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog Fantasy is the best place to play fantasy sports. I want to tell you about the easiest way to get in on some NBA action with Underdog Fantasy and their pick'em game. Just find your favorite player, or any player for that matter, pick higher or lower on that player's stats, and you can win up to 20 times your money in one night. Pick between 2 or 5 players to fill your pick'em entry. Get every pick right, and you can net yourself some serious cash. Use the promo code Man Down Sports and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Plus, now that it's football season, you can follow Man Down Sports as we reveal our favorite picks from week to week. Like I said before, pick your favorite player, pick higher or lower, choose your dollar amount, and win some money. It's just that easy. Make picks, win money. We also want to thank Underdog Fantasy for partnering with us, and we want to thank you for helping the channel out by using Man Down Sports on Underdog Fantasy. Y'all make sure y'all using Underdog. Underdog Fantasy, they kind of dropped the fantasy, so use the moniker underdog, but make sure y'all get into underdog. If y'all haven't even done it yet, this is the perfect opportunity to do it because, like I said, whatever you deposit on your first time, your first deposit, the first time you get in there, if you use the promo code Man Down Sports, whatever you deposit, they're going to give you a 50% bonus on that. So, if you go in there, you just want to play just to see what it's like, and you drop $100 in there just to start off with, they're going to throw $50 on top of that. So you'll be working with $150 instead of just 100. And you can place little odd bets here just to get a feel for it. You can pick between 2, 5, whatever you want to bet. But I just did this little bet for the Tuesday games for the WNBA. I picked Nafessa Collier, Alyssa Thomas, Courtney Williams, right? And like you saying in the video just now, you can pick higher or low on what they're offering, right? And that was offering a lot, right? A lot of different things. I mean, 19.5 points. If she go score higher or lower than that. They do the same thing with rebounds. They do the same thing with any other stat that you can think of, right? And you just gotta pick, right? So I lost this one because I made a mistake and picked lower on Alyssa Thomas, 9.5 points. I meant to pick higher on that. I rarely ever pick lower. I always go pick the ones I think they go exceed that. So it's supposed to be higher, and she already got 12 points, and it's the third quarter, right? But I hit on the Courtney Williams assist. I definitely hit on the Nafessa Collier 19 points as well. It's a third quarter. She already got 19, so I'm pretty sure she'll get one more point. So I would have won, and that was just a $20 bet. I would have won about $140 just off that if I wouldn't have made that mistake on Alyssa Thomas, right? So, but when you get in there, like say for instance, Courtney Williams, like these are all the things they offer, and you see the red circle that was offering 5.5 assists. Do you think she'll get higher or lower on that? Of course, I pick higher because if you look all the way to the right on the bottom, they give her past performances. She's a passer, right? So in her last 3 games, 5 assists was like her lowest, but she, had a 7, she had a 10. I knew she was gonna get them 5 assists, and she already got 10, and it's just the third quarter. So I knew I was gonna hit on that. I knew I was gonna hit on the Nafessa Collier. I knew I was gonna hit on the Alyssa Thomas, but I made a mistake and hit lower instead of higher. So I'm not gonna get my money. But if you ever make a mistake like that, you can, you don't have to get all 3 right. You can have a little bit of insurance in case you get one wrong, and you can still win some money. But that's a different option. You can opt to go for all 3, or you can say, hey, 2 out of 3, whatever, but you'll win a little bit less money in that scenario, man. So yeah, it helps us out. Plus, you can win some money. I think every Friday or whenever I do my show, I'm going to share with you what bets I pick, and we can pick. Y'all can pick the same ones, and we can win that money together. Or you can just go ahead and go on your own. But make sure you use the Man Down Sports promo code, because that helps out the channel as well. So let's get into it. Barkley cost you $1,100 yesterday. Are you using Underdog Fantasy, and did you use the promo code Man Down Sports? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. But Barkley cost me something yesterday as well. But I really I needed Barkley to get that touchdown that he got from Jalen Hurts, because I had Jalen Hurts 2 touchdowns. He was supposed to throw 2 touchdowns, and he only threw 1. But that last one that he threw to Barkley, where he fell at the 1-yard line, and then they did the tush push to get it in there, I would have won the money right there, because I needed Barkley to get in, and I needed Jalen Hurts also to throw 1. So I would have got my money off that 1 play. But it go like that sometime. But I won a lot too, so I ain't sweating it. I ain't sweating it at all. All right, man. So let's get into this, y'all. I'm mad I didn't pick higher on Alyssa Thomas, though. I'm real mad about that, but it's all good. But let's get into it. Joe Smith, #1 pick, came out of Maryland. Real good power forward. He was player of the year in college. Dude was phenomenal. He got to the league and was more of a role player. He didn't really dominate like that, man, but really good player. Really good player. He was on Dwight Howard's podcast, Above the Rim. And everybody's pro LeBron in there. Dwight kind of hides which way he lean, but all his co-hosts, they're pro LeBron. One of them's from Ohio, so he's really pro LeBron. And so they had this conversation and they brought it up. And here's Joe Smith's explanation on why he chose LeBron as the GOAT. I think it's interesting how he chose LeBron. And then it was also interesting why he explained why he chose LeBron. It was the weirdest thing, but let's try to make some sense out of it.
Actually, this off cam, but I got to ask you this on cam now. I hope I don't take too much time, but you got a chance to play against Jordan and with Bron. Those are two of the people who are most talked about as two of the greatest players of all time. Right. I will ask you, since you got a chance to play against Jordan, play with Bron, got to see the process, who, in your opinion, is the GOAT?
Joe Smith.
Nah, that's tough. That's tough. I mean, I grew up. I ain't grew up a Jordan fan. I grew up a Magic fan. So for me, the closest thing to Magic, Bron.
Bron got to be.
You know what I'm saying? So
more athletic.
I mean, it's taking nothing away from. Obviously, can't take nothing away from Jordan.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think you got the most points.
My dog.
History.
Hey, say no more, brother.
You know what I'm saying?
Say no more, man. We locked in.
Top 5 in assists.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like the numbers don't lie. So it's close.
I'm agreeing, man. I've been saying that for a while. They say I'm biased because I'm from Cleveland.
You're from Cleveland.
Yeah, but I'm just.
I mean, I can be a little bit biased too because I played with Bron. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
But no.
Jordan. My the year they lost 10 games, they went 72-10.
Yeah.
When we played them at Golden State, halftime, we was up 20.
Damn.
They came back.
Yeah, we about to bust their ass, yo. Yo.
Damn, came back from 20 at half?
Third quarter, right.
They wouldn't
quarter.
They weren't even shooting threes like this in 90.
Third quarter, they came back from 20.
They wouldn't even shoot threes like that, bro. So
they flipped the switch. They hit a switch at halftime, bro, and like, well, nothing we can do, bro.
So man, that's very shout out to Simply Ball Dropping Podcast, man. Salute to you, big dog. Simply Ball Dropping, man. Good content over there, man. Go and get them a subscription over on YouTube as well. I'm subscribed over there as well. So they push out good content, man. So if you like this channel, you'll probably like that one too. Yeah, so what's interesting about this is first, when they first asked him who's the GOAT, he really didn't have an answer. He said it was a tough one. It's hard. But then he's in a room full of LeBron guys, right? And they're looking at him like, what you gonna say? And he's like, shoot, man, y'all invited me on the show. You know, man, I'm not saying this played a part in it, but like that's how peer pressure is. Like, man, y'all invited me on that show. Y'all probably gave me a little money to do that. Y'all know I needed the money. Like, the least I can do is come in here and ride for y'all guy. You know what I mean? So he comes out and says, LeBron. But then he gives some of his reasoning behind it. He was like, because number one, I wasn't a Jordan guy growing up. I was a Magic guy, right? So I don't know if that means that he thought Magic was the greatest of all time. Because when people say, you know, I hold Kobe in high regard because he's so much like Mike, that's saying that you're so much like the GOATs. You're so much like the greatest of all time. It brings my respect level up for you tremendously, right? But if I just came out and was like, man, LeBron is the GOAT because he remind me so much of Shaq, or LeBron's the GOAT because he remind me so much of this player, but that player ain't the GOAT. I really don't understand how reminding you so much of that guy puts you in the GOAT conversation or the GOAT realm or the GOAT level. So that was kind of confusing. So I was a Magic guy So since I like Magic so much, I'm not saying Magic is the GOAT, but I like Magic so much, and LeBron passes like Magic because I don't think there's much else that he does like Magic. They both can pass really good, right? So LeBron passes the ball so well like Magic. That's why I got him as the GOAT. That's very confusing and don't correlate at all. It don't even make no sense, right? Then he said, then he got 40,000 points, number 5 in assists. I mean, the stats speaks for itself, right? And I disagree. I don't think the stats speak for itself because we don't play for stats. Like if nobody kept score for the teams, like if you got on the court and it's 5-on-5, and we say we don't care what the team score is, the team that has the player with the most stats on it wins. So after the game, we sit there and we tally up and be like, shoot, this player had 30 points, he had 8 rebounds and 8 assists. Anybody else have anything better than that? Nope. This team wins. If that's the reason why we play basketball, if that was the ultimate goal, because you judge players based on, we're all trying to get the ultimate goal. So whatever my skill set is as a player and as a leader on both ends of the floor, I have to put that on display. I have to put that to the test and come out on top, because we're all trying to reach this ultimate goal, which is win the game and then win the championship at the end of the season. Like that's what we're doing. Every time we go out there, we're trying to win the game. And at the end of the season, we're trying to be the last team standing. So if we're all trying to achieve that same goal, then the person who's achieved it the most, you have to have heavy consideration in any conversation, awards, how we look at their legacy. All of those things have to be geared toward winning the ultimate goal. No one's going out there and saying we're all playing, the beginning of the season started and all the great players are saying, I'm trying to get more stats than the next guy. That's not why they're playing. So it confuses me when people use stats to somehow connect to who's the greatest of all time. I just don't understand it. I think it's a different category for that. I think who has recorded the most stats is a whole different conversation, right? If we're having that conversations, then it won't be no debate. We can just look, okay, 40,000 points, that's number one, and this and that, okay, assist, rebound, okay, cool. LeBron has recorded the most stats, give him that title, the most stats. But for the greatest of all time, stats is not the end all be all for that, right? Especially if one played 22 years, one played 15 years, right? You know, that don't even make no sense, right? So stats don't go there for me. But you know, the difference between people who think LeBron is the GOAT and people who think Michael Jordan is the GOAT is the LeBron guys are all grading the resume, the stats, and all of those things. That's how they grade a player, right? Give me 2 players and I want to know which ones is the best, right? And a Jordan guy is saying, okay, well, let's take him, let's go to the court and let's watch him play. And the LeBron game was like, no, we don't need to watch him play. I got the stats right here. I got the stats, right? Or put it this way, if you was a scout, you've never seen, you're trying to recruit new talent for your program in college, and you need to go to these high schools, you know, let's say, hey man, we're doing a North Carolina trip. I got 5 schools I want you to go to. I heard that they got a point guard that might fit my program. I need you to go find me the best point guard for my program. All right. I don't expect my scout to say, save your money, big dog. I don't even need to fly down there. I'm about to Google their stats. And then I'm about to tell you which one has scored the most points their 4 years in high school, or who recorded the most stats their 4 years in high school. I would fire that scout. And I think anybody with common sense, if they had a scout that their only job was to scout players and this person didn't even watch them play, he just Googled their stats, I think that he would be out of a job, right? So when someone says who's the GOAT, and you be like, well, the stats say this guy's the GOAT. You need to fire them from the conversation. Like the conversation is over. Like I can't even have a conversation with a person that think like that. I'm about to go straight to the stats. So I just think that's just a horrible way to go about it. But that's how Joe Smith went about it. Now on the flip side, right? As I read some of these let me see. Anything for the views. I don't even know who that's for. His wife is probably busting it. Come on, man. Don't do him like that, man. He just talking about basketball, man. Don't bring his wife out here, man. 21 years in the league. LeBron still has no go-to move. Yeah, sure. Anytime, Simply Ball Driver, no problem. Roared Salad is correct. I love how LeBron led Joe Smith to a title. Joe Smith is a clown. These dudes praise LeBron, clickbaiting. I mean, but you got to understand the dynamic, man. Like, I mean, these dudes, some of these dudes are not. First of all, we think just because they played this sport that they're like the most intelligent people when it comes to this sport. Some of these dudes, like you got to understand, man, jocks are jocks sometimes. It's not a lot of jocks. It's just like also intelligent who also put thought into something. Because, this stuff that used to didn't be this significant. Like nobody, I don't think none of these athletes have actually sat down and said, man, you know what, man? I mean, we're going to be talking about this a lot. Let me actually put some thought into this GOAT thing. Like none of them have a criteria. Like for you to be that seemingly unprepared for a question like that, but you got an opinion about it, but your opinion is backed up by, I mean, look at the stats. Like, man, that's almost like, man, this got fed to you from a debate show. Like, this is not even like your original thought. You can't even explain it. I don't even think if someone asks him this next week on a different podcast that he could even repeat that. It'd be something different. He's the GOAT because look at his stats. I just can't believe a professional basketball player thinks like that. But that's how it is, right? He may just mean his GOAT. Yeah, that's what it sounded like because he said, his number one reason was because he was more like Magic, and Magic is who he watched growing up, right? So, I guess that's what he meant. My GOAT. Right, not something. I gave this some thought, and I fairly weighed everyone's case, and I have a criteria that can be applied across the board, and all of those things. Now, I don't think he went about it that way, right? World Breaker was good. Real talk, Joe Smith White, who used to text my guy trying to get chose. Stop playing. He don't follow sports, so he don't know it was her until they kitchen should. Lord have mercy. Sheesh. All right. So on the flip side, so what does it sound like when someone who advocates for Michael Jordan, you heard Joe Smith stats 40,000, that was pretty much how deep his argument was. 40,000 his stats. That's it. Like, he couldn't even go in no detail. Let's get into Muggsy Bogues. And I've already did a video. We did this on Friday with the full panel. He was on Mark Jackson's podcast and he talked about it, but he didn't want to really go in and destroy LeBron. But then he ended up on someone else's podcast. And I apologize because I don't have the name of it. Let me see if I can find the name of this Twitter page, because I want to give him his credit because he interviewed Muggsy I know he put some work into all of that. What is the name of this podcast? Man, somebody else reposted, so I don't have. Yeah, so I apologize to the guy who I'm using this soundbite for, because someone reposted this on Twitter, and I don't know who the owner of that podcast is. So But if I find it, I'll put that link in the description. But this is Muggsy Bogues talking to him about the GOAT, which Muggsy Bogues said he don't think is a GOAT at all. He think it's disrespectful, but he had to, after he had that conversation with Mark Jackson, people was asking him about it, and he had to kind of like go into detail a little bit. But even though he don't think there's a such thing as a GOAT, but he was saying like the best player I ever seen is Michael Jordan, and this is why. But this is how he explained it.
But we just talking between the lines, just between the lines, not the impact, just between the lines, just the skill set of a basketball player. There was no other than MJ. There was no other than MJ. And Kobe was the second coming of that. And him being able to, be that 2.0 version of MJ and being able to, have that mindset that MJ had, a killer instinct, that's what kind of separated him from a lot of guys. But LeBron is definitely one of the greatest players that ever played this game, longevity wise as well, statistic wise as well. But again, skill set, I always give it to MJ.
And championships too.
Well, yeah, championships, but that's all accolades. But I'm just talking about as a basketball player, between the lines, who you will be afraid to face up against. And we all know MJ is coming at you as a killer. I mean, LeBron, he scored a different way how he attacked, but it's nothing the way MJ played it.
All right, so I think I seen somebody in the comment section say the name of that podcast is called MVP. I don't know if that's sure. Howard Hollis said that MVP. So I don't know if that's on YouTube or just on just on another platform. But yeah, I double check and make sure if that's what it is, and then I give him his proper due in the description box. Yeah, so you hear Muggsy talking about it, and he wanted to take it to the basketball sense. So everything is, it's a superficial level where it's just on the surface, where it's just very easy. Oh man, stats, right? Like that don't go into no detail. They don't go below the surface at all. What most Jordan guys want to do is let's talk about the basketball game. You got some people. All right, so it's like so many people that's part of the basketball community. They got different perspectives. You got journalists, Stephen A. Smith, Chris Broussard, and all this stuff. When they start talking about this GOAT debate, they go into storylines because by nature and by their craft, they are into stories. They are into creating stories, talking about stories, making these athletes be like mythical creatures. Like, people in the Bible might talk about, King Solomon was the smartest man to ever live. And then you might hear people say, oh man, another tall tale, Paul Bunyan, strongest man to ever live. LeBron James, the highest IQ that ever played basketball. Steph Curry, the greatest shooter that ever shot the ball. And they start talking about things like that, and no one's ever talking about basketball. They're just throwing these little stories out there, like these little narratives, right? That's how journalists do it. And journalists became part of the debate shows in the in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. I say early 2000s. The debate shows got really popular, and you got Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless. These are journalists. They got these jobs to come on TV and debate, and they debated everything from a journalist perspective. The way you would write a story, the way you would write a tall tale. Oh, he choked and blah, all of these things. And then it kind of, the new fans that came to the NBA in the early 2000s, they learned how to consume basketball. They learned how to ascertain what they were seeing based on what they were hearing on ESPN from these journalists that was debating the sport. So there's a section of this new era who learned from Stephen A. Smith about the NBA. So when you talk to them and you say things like, who's a better player, Steph or KD? And then the first thing they start saying is, oh man, KD can't do this without Steph. And Steph won without him, and he the one who came and joined Steph. These are stories. These are narratives. These are storylines. That's not how you judge a basketball player. Go back to my example of a scout. If I told my scout to go find me a point guard for my program and he's telling me, I don't even need to fly down there and watch them play. Let me tell you this storyline. This guy, he's come from a single parent home and he overcame all odds, and no one else had this much pressure on them, and he overcame all that pressure. I don't care about none of that. Go watch this dude play and tell me what he can do on the court and what he can't do on the court. What is his strengths? What is his weaknesses? I need to know that. I don't care about a storyline, right? People who think like that are called basketball purists. We have more basketball purists that agree that Michael Jordan is the best player we ever seen and also agree that he's the GOAT. Then you have the people who think like journalists from a storyline perspective, and they would tell you, oh, nobody had as much pressure as LeBron coming in as a rookie, and LeBron overcame all the odds, and LeBron's teammates didn't even like him, and he overcame that, and LeBron came from a single parent home, and LeBron is a great father and a great husband, never had any scandals, and LeBron got the greatest IQ that we've ever seen, and LeBron carried bombs to the finals. No one has ever done that. And it's all these stories. It's all these narratives. You sit there and not talk about the basketball game at all. You talk about just narratives. That's the way a journalist think about it. And then you got these people that came to the sport of basketball who know nothing about basketball, right? Kind of like Caitlin Clark fans, where they was like, I don't like basketball. I never watched it, but I like Caitlin Clark. So now I'm watching. Imagine being in a debate about the GOAT with a person who never watched the sport. LeBron brought in a lot of people like that. Don't play basketball, don't know nothing about it. Never, never grew up watching it for real, but they like LeBron's story. They like the narrative that's around him. So they gravitated to that. And these are the people who only can discuss basketball based on what they can Google. So when I ask you who's the better player, they're going to Google you or Google the two players, and they're going to tell you which one got the better stats. Right? Where common sense tells you if I'm on a team that's going to allow me to do everything, I'm going to have more stats. But if I'm on a team that has me in a structured offense, like Greg Popovich had his San Antonio Spurs in a structured offense, we didn't see Kawhi, Tim Duncan, David Robinson, Ginobili, or Parker just explode 40, 50, 60. Like, we didn't see stuff like that. They played in a structured offense. Same thing with Dean Smith and Carolina. You don't see a lot of Carolina guys just out there just exploding for points like Michael Beasley did as a freshman, or like Kevin Durant did as a freshman. Even Carmelo, as good as he was at Syracuse with Jim Boeheim, ran in a real offense. You didn't see him ISO balling and all that stuff. He got everything out of the mud. He had a complete game. They didn't just feature him like Davidson featured Steph Curry. Steph Curry came in 1 year, averaged 28, 30. Caitlin Clark averaged 30. But who else was going to shoot the ball? Right? So you playing on the team that's saying, hey, look, do everything. I want you to be the point guard. I want you to get all the assists. And I want you to take all the shots, and that's going to equal more stats. But if you're playing for Gino Auriemma, they got other 5-star recruits, and they're saying this is the offense I run, and you will fit in this offense. And no, we would not be featuring you where you get 30 shots a game. No, obviously that player is not going to have as much stats as a Steph Curry or Caitlin Clark or Michael Beasley or Kevin Durant. Right? There was one of one on that team, the only All-American there, the only person close enough to that. But if you're playing in a team that got you in the structure, it's different. So you can't just Google stats and then say, oh, this player is better because he got more stats or she got more stats. That don't even make sense. So those are the three type of people that's around the sport. People who think like journalists, people who just Google stats because they don't know enough basketball. Like, they can't watch a game and then say, okay, this is what I saw. This is how they stopped that player. This is what they did. Oh, this is how that was successful. But they can't break all that down because they didn't go to school of basketball growing up. Like, like people who played structured basketball, who played for the schools, who played AAU, who played extensively on the blacktop whatever the case may be, traveled, did all this stuff. People who did that, played for so many coaches, ran different offenses, and understood basketball like that. Those type of people, when they sit and watch a game, they can tell you what's going on and what they see, and they could do that. But people who don't have that type of background, I don't know what I just watched, but I can Google the stats, and those stats can tell me. And I can turn on ESPN and listen to the journalists tell me what I saw, and I can put those two together, and now I can come talk to a basketball purist and get in a debate with them about basketball, which is not a lot of fun for a basketball purist, right? Right. So I kind of wanted to make, differentiate that, between, how LeBron guys think versus how Kobe or Mike guy think. It's just different people, man. It's people who think like journalists, it's people who think like stat nerds, and there's people who think like basketball purists, right? And then every now and then you spend, which will kind of explain to you why, as far as athletes that's on TV, most of the football players lean toward LeBron. You know what I mean? The Shannon Sharp, those guys, those football players who, I don't know nothing about no basketball. I'm gonna go toward LeBron. They lean toward LeBron. And it's always a story. And I want you to just keep that in mind. Every time you hear someone speaking for LeBron and for the GOAT conversation, listen, it's always a story they got to tell. It's always a narrative, or it's always a stat. They can't never break down basketball and tell you why he's the best, right? Because in my opinion, before we talk about who the GOAT is, I need to know who the best player is, because that weighs heavy on who the greatest of all time is. Like, the greatest of all time can't be a lesser player than someone. Like, that person has to be the best player we've seen first and foremost. So if we was to have the conversation, let's say let's grab all the guys who want to, have this conversation or this debate and put us all in one room. Be like, okay, we're gonna have this conversation. Let's narrow it down to 10 guys. Let's narrow it down to 10. Who do you think the greatest is? Who do you think who's the best basketball player you ever watched with your own two eyes? And, old heads, Kareem, Wilt, Russell, Jerry West, those names to throw out for the old heads. And then you got some younger guys that might be like Bird, Magic. Okay, cool. And then you got some more guys, Jordan. All right, cool. Then you got some other guys, Kobe, LeBron. All right, so we throw all those names in. All right, cool. Who's the best player out of all of them? Because when you look at all the circumstances, like if we want to go stats, think about how many circumstances go into contributing to your stats. Play style, coaching, teammates, era you played in, lack of defense or defense, physical defense. All those things kind of go into it. But the only thing that only has one thing that really go into it is how good you are as a basketball player and how complete you are as a basketball player. That ain't got nothing to do with my teammate. It could have something to do with my journey, like, as far as coaching goes. Like, Michael Jordan played for Dean Smith. That helped him develop some things a lot, because Dean Smith wasn't going to let him just dominate the ball. And he had to learn how to play off ball. He had to learn how to play with another star better than him, like James Worthy at the time. He had to learn how to play with a cap on how far he could go, because a lot of people say the only person that can stop Michael Jordan is Dean Smith, because Dean Smith would pull him out of the game if there was winning that was decided, and wouldn't let Michael Jordan go get 30 or 35. Hey, nah, come on, sit down. We winning. You know what I'm saying? Well, I don't need you doing it, right? So so that coaching might have helped. So I would say coaching along the way, while you're in the development stage, right? So high school, college, pros. By the time you get to pros, you kind of your own man, right? But I think Dean Smith played a major role in some of the things that Michael Jordan was able to develop and add to his repertoire, right? But it's a lot less that involves, there's a lot less circumstances that contribute to how good you become as a player, right? But how many points you scored, I mean, it's so many circumstances that go into that, right? So if I'm grabbing Jordan, who played 15 years, and Kobe, who played 20 years, and I try to decide, oh well, this one had more points, so that means he's a better scorer. That don't make sense, because the circumstances is, well, whose era had more defense? How long did he play? Did he play in a system that allowed him to just shoot 35, 40 shots like, James Harden or something like that, or Luka? All that stuff play into it. But the only thing that you can't, contribute to other circumstances as much is how good you are as a player. How complete are you as a player? How complete are you as a player? And when you start narrowing it down, you get those 10 names: Kobe, Hakeem, Jordan, Wilt, Kareem, LeBron. You start naming all these names who we think have a argument for GOAT, and you just ask the question, who's the better player? Who's the more complete player on both ends of the floor? And it starts to narrow down. Bill Russell, great player on both ends of the floor, but more so on the defensive end, not so much on the offensive end, right? So what he got for him on his resume is how often he won. That's great. But on both ends of the floor, he's not the complete player that some of these other guys is. So he falls down a little bit. Wilt, very complete on both ends, but it didn't contribute to as much winning. He falls down a little bit. Kareem, complete player on both ends, and he won on all levels. He raises up to the top a little bit. Shaq, not a complete player on offense. We know his flaws. Can't shoot free throws. It's hard for. It's just like Shaq was. He was a physical dominant force, but let's be for real. Hakeem's better. Hakeem, dominant, complete on both ends of the floor. It contributed to winning and all of that. Same with Tim Duncan, right? He rises up, right? Jordan, of course, the top of that list, both complete player on both ends of the floor, and it led to winning and everything else to go. He's at the tippy top of this. And then you get to some guys like Kobe and LeBron, and you realize, oh man, when you grade a player that way, Kobe grades higher than LeBron. LeBron, very incomplete as an offensive player, and wasn't present as a defensive lockdown guy for years. He was early in Cleveland, a little bit in Miami, and then he just stopped playing defense. And even when he was a lockdown defender or a really good defender, he still wasn't as good as Kobe was as a defender. On both ends of the floor, Kobe's a way better and more complete player. He's up there in grade as high as Michael Jordan, and it led to winning. Where he takes a hit at is playing those years with Shaq, where people can actually, and it really, that goes toward narrative and storyline. That is journalists using that to knock him down. Where if he's already proved to you how good he is as a player, why would you still use Shaq to knock him down? Only because the storyline. But the storyline don't change how good of a player he is. Like, I know for a fact I can look and see how good Kobe was even when he was playing with Shaq. We all saw it. We saw that he was a better player. That was giving him Michael Jordan comparisons. That was saying he might be in the conversation for the GOAT early on. Right? So all of those things going for Kobe, and the journalists will use a storyline. Oh man, you played with Shaq, so we can't put you high on the list because you played with Shaq. But how? Why? Like, if he's the better player, why are we saying he's not just because he played with Shaq? That don't make sense. Narrative, storyline, that's the journalist getting involved and telling people how to think, right? So when you do that, you realize Kobe's high on the list than you actually think. And a lot of people actually thought that. Let me get to some of these comments, and then I'm gonna open the phone lines up. Phone number is there, but I seen some good comments coming in. I'm gonna scroll up. And I'm gonna try to get to some of these comments. Chi. I saw KD make Latrash fake a broken hand injury. We call them casuals. You know what? The casuals is actually the ones who. Because listen, I don't. You know what? If someone called me a casual, I wouldn't mind, because the people who use that word casual, I mean, and by definition, casual is someone who loosely follows the game, right? And they call the so people that loosely follow the game might have a reason why they loosely follow it. The game might be trash to them now, right? The game might be trash, so they might just loosely follow. I watch every now and then. I watch when the playoffs starts or whatever. People might think like that, right? I watch all season long because I got a sports podcast I have to watch, right? But when I was living overseas, I was pretty much a casual. I was working too much, and I wasn't that interested in the NBA. And that's when the debate shows really. That's when LeBron was in Miami. That's when the storylines and the debate shows. That's when it really got really bad. So the people that call people casuals are really the ones who are the casuals, because you never know. Like a person like me, I was hooked on basketball, like addicted to it so much that I played it. Like I played it like it was an addiction. I had to play, right? And there's a lot of guys that play like that. Most of those dudes are not the same dudes that are locked in on the sport. Like they don't sit down and just study the game like that. They just good at basketball. Like I got a friend, you know, I've never seen him sit down and actually watch a game for real. But he was a hooper. Right? So I don't even know if the term casual is supposed to be like like, to me, it's a badge of honor to me. Thank you for calling me a casual, because the people who think they're not casuals are the people who pay attention to sports debate so much that they could recite everything Stephen A. Smith or Nick Wright says. And these are the guys who are talking to you about stats and storylines. And they think that because you don't like or you don't agree with the storyline, that makes you a casual. Like debate shows will make something, they'll say something so much it becomes cliche. And if you say it enough, it becomes quote unquote true. Right. So if I say Westbrook is a top 75 player because he averaged a triple-double, that's how they think in NBA circles. I disagree with that. Right. So if I'm talking to people in the NBA circle and I say them triple doubles is not impressive to me, then I become a casual, because this is already something that's agreed upon amongst the NBA community on social media and on ESPN. So that's what they think casuals is. If you don't agree with mainstream, I could have just said that and made it short. If you don't agree with mainstream narratives, then you're a casual because you don't know them. That means you're not paying attention enough, right? That's basically what they call a casual. And look, I'll be a casual all day long, because I am not like them. I'm not like these dudes that use stats, analytics, and storylines to form conclusions about basketball. You know what I mean? So, yeah, LeBron's real story is so awkward. He struggled struggled in Cleveland and had to join two other superstars. All this LeBron hate and jealousy in the comment section. Hey man, where's the hate and jealousy, man? Who is what? You know what? Hate and jealousy. Come on, man. To be fair, Mel, they doing stories for MJ too. Call it both ways. Yeah, but call in, Word Breaker. The number's on the screen. There's the number right there. Call in and explain this to me. Don't bring facts into it. Well, these comments are funny, man. Taco Master. LeBron is a complete brick. Is DC Slim ever coming back? I thought you guys talked it out. Great show, Mel. As a woman, you tell it like it is, without any room for misinterpretation. Extensions of luxury. Extensions, does that mean hair? Caller from Houston. What's up?
LeBron is the GOAT, and I don't give a fuck what anyone's saying.
All right. Go ahead. Explain why.
I mean, fresh out of high school, average double digits. I mean, the guy. Come on now, that's like you're asking a middle school guy to run a company that his dad left him when he died, and the guy managed to be successful. I mean, I understand it's not like MJ, it's not like Bird, but come on now, the guy's definitely a GOAT.
Yeah, of course, I agree with that. But you do realize you just did exactly what I just been talking about. You came in and told a story. You told a narrative in the story. What? Tell me about LeBron's basketball game that makes you think he's the best player we've ever seen.
Oh no, I can't say he's the best player I ever seen. I don't think he's that.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't think he's the best player we've ever seen, if we're being honest. But we think he's the GOAT. Like, don't you think the GOAT needs to be the best?
The GOAT being the best. To be the GOAT, that means of all time. So are you saying that Michael Jordan is the best that we'll ever see in millions and millions of years? Like, well, come on now, Mel. Come on.
Yeah,
now.
I'm of the belief that if you go beyond Michael Jordan to the 70s and 60s, the NBA was still developing in its developmental stage, right? So obviously we not go see the best in their era, right? Because it was still developing. But I think toward the 80s, it started to get an identity, and the 90s was the golden era of basketball. That's the peak, and that's probably the best we ever see NBA basketball. So the 90s to the early 2000s was the best era that we'll ever see of basketball, because a couple of things existed then. Great players, great teams, great basketball, great marketing. Not too much marketing, because the way we're marketing now, because we've seen what marketing could do financially, it's become more about marketing than it is about actual basketball, and it's become more about entertainment than it is about actual basketball. So we got a bastardized version of basketball now in this era, and we're not going to ever go back to how basketball was in the 90s. So we're never have an environment that'll produce a player as good as Michael Jordan.
I understand. The thing I think about LeBron, I think LeBron didn't work as hard as MJ. MJ was not much more of a better player than LeBron was in high school. I think MJ just stayed in the gym and worked much more harder than LeBron, and that kind of like propelled him to, be more greater than guys who were drinking and smoking and gambling. I think MJ was more of a, how guys are in school and they make good grades so they study more. And I'm not trying to knock MJ, but how guys, they study more, they get a tutor. When guys are partying, they're in the book studying. I think MJ was a student of the game, and that propelled him to a far much greater level. Because again, MJ got cut, and he probably wasn't the greatest guy coming out of high school. LeBron was great. I think that LeBron didn't excel as studying the game and like becoming a master at certain parts of his game, and that's where he failed at. But I do think that the guy is definitely a great. Is he the greatest? Hell no.
Michael Jordan. Hold on. You don't think Michael Jordan's the greatest?
I don't think LeBron is the greatest, but as far as LeBron, as far as Michael, would you say Michael is more of a guy who worked hard, or you think he was born that type of incredible player? Do you think his hard work got him to that level, or do you think he was just raw talent that can go out and bust ass in 5th grade, 6th grade, 9th grade, college, high school, college, whatever, in the NBA? Do you think it was a situation where he went in the gym and practiced 30,000 shots a day, or do you think he was born with a gift of putting the ball in the basket? What do you think?
I think it was all of that. Because obviously he was born with great athletic ability, right?
Okay.
Right. So he probably was in the top 5 to 1 percentile athletically. He was gifted as an athlete, right? LeBron probably in the top 1 percentile as well as an athlete, right? So here's the difference. It's very hard if I'm the top 1 percentile as an athlete, I'm probably going to
Mhm.
be able to score on everybody all the way till I get to the NBA very easily. Like, because you're not going to find another 1 percentile athlete that often, right? So in high school, it's very easy, right? Going straight to the pros out of college, it's still not a lot of one. I mean, LeBron still was the best athlete on the floor as a high school 18, 19-year-old in the pros with grown men. So it's very hard to have someone that athletically gifted who I can run past you and dunk, jump higher than you, run faster than you, and I'm stronger than you. That's how I can get my points. It's very hard to tell that guy to go put up 1,000 shots a day during the summertime, right? But the difference between LeBron is Michael Jordan actually did that. He was the 1 percentile athlete who actually went in and still worked like he was Steve Kerr. Like, in order for Steve Kerr to get to the league, I got to work hard on my shot. I got to lift because I'm going to be, I'm weakening everybody. Michael Jordan worked, and Kobe Bryant as well. They worked as if they was their worst athlete on the floor.
I was just going to ask you, do you feel like when it comes to being the GOAT, you don't rest on your laurels ever? Do you think, I mean, it's a dumbass question, but you feel like Jordan never rested on his laurels, not one fucking season?
No, I don't think he did.
I don't think he did either, man. And it's kind of hard to put him at the GOAT, but I definitely see why people can say that a man at that stature, that peak of the game, was always trying to look for ways to get better, always looking for. I mean, I'm not trying to like ride him like that, but it even shows with the baseball stuff. You know, the guy was. I heard people say the guy was in a dugout up early in the morning, just putting that work, trying to be better. And I do feel like when you see a guy out there that's trying to be the best shooter in the Army, the best swimmer in the Olympics, the best mechanic in the shop, he's up early at 4 in the morning where everybody's sleeping shit, and he's trying his best to get better at the game. You got to respect it, and I definitely respect him. I'm not saying LeBron doesn't put the work in, but I feel like if you're cutting 1,000 heads a day to get better at barbering, when it comes to like showcasing that talent, it's evident that you put the work in. I feel like if LeBron is still doing certain things on the court that are like bloopers or, losing the ball, which is understandable, but missing free throws, like, come on, brother. Something about that. But I still feel like the guy is great. I hate comparing him to the Jordan. Hate it. I love your show. I know you. I feel like you hold Jordan as the standard, and that's a tough one, man, because it's like no one can.
I hold Jordan as the standard for wing players about as far as like who's played the game to the closest to perfection as possible on both ends of the floor. And then for post players, I hold Hakeem Olajuwon as the standard. So Jordan and Hakeem are the standards for me on both ends of the floor for basketball players. So yeah, I'm great. And so I find a higher standard that grades higher than those guys.
Yeah.
Then that's how I'm gonna grade everybody.
Now, before I get out of here, do you feel like his competitors, because they didn't beat them, which is them as the Bulls, you feel like for example, like Penny or Grant Hill, just because they didn't beat them, do you feel like it's because they just weren't at the level of MJ, or was it the team success of building an organization? Because when we say, like, Michael Jordan missed shots, Michael Jordan made turnovers. He didn't make every fucking free throw. The guy he wasn't like a god. He was a god. He was great. But it wasn't like the guy was just like this person who never fucking like fell on the ground, never got a foul. Like he had his flaws as well. Mm-hmm. But do you feel like it was just bad timing where guys just couldn't beat him in a pickup game with a 7-game series, or was it like a mental thing? Like, he got a lot of edges, man. Do you feel like it was a mixture of the mental intimidation mixed with the athletic and the hard work, or was it more of a, because the guy got Nike, he got the NBA behind his back, he got, a championship in North Carolina, like what the fuck was it really that you think it was?
For Mike?
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably different for everybody, man. When you hear people explain it, man, you everything you said,
yeah,
you hear a lot of people mention that stuff. But for me, I can only speak for myself. For me,
okay,
it's just that he was the best player I ever seen. right? And when I grade him on a basketball standard, like what I think basketball players should have in their repertoire, he graded as high as I've ever seen, and Kobe grades just as high, probably a little bit lower than Mike. And for post players, Hakeem grades as high as I ever seen. So it's just those three guys, man. Kobe, Mike, Hakeem. It's nobody. And as much as we like Tim Duncan, he's the big fundamental. He don't grade as high as Hakeem, because Hakeem also had the athleticism that Tim Duncan didn't have. Like Hakeem had everything: shooting, touch, ball handling, pause, no diddy, post play, perimeter play, defense, rim protection, moving on defense on the perimeter, speed, jumping ability. He was smart, high IQ, and determined, and had the killer instinct like Jordan. Like, Hakeem had it all, bro. There's no post player greater than Hakeem. Not even Shaq. Not even Kareem. Even though I rank Kareem higher than Hakeem, because the resume, when you take the player and how they grade, and then you take the resume and grade the resume, and you put those two together, Kareem grades higher than Hakeem. But as a player, no big man grades higher than Hakeem for me.
Okay. Hey, I appreciate the show, man. It's great. There's a podcast with Byron Scott and Derek Fisher. Just give me a little game. I'm pretty sure you're always looking at things and content. Hey, there's some good gems in there about Kobe, and as far as how Derek Fisher, because they both came in 96. I didn't even know that till just yesterday, but he had a lot of different insights on how Kobe was and how he was going through things, and how the second team would beat the first team, and when Shaq got to put out the game for pickups, they would crush them and stuff like that. There's a lot of great gems in there, man. That would definitely support a lot of the different things that you speak on in regards to Kobe, man. But a great show. LeBron would never be as great as Michael. That's clear as day. But I think the guy. Even you said it earlier. You said LeBron is a GOAT. He's one of the GOATs, I guess. Whatever. And I agree. The guy's great. The guy has his flaws. But come on, man. When we were in high school, come on, guys were going to the Army. Guys were going to their first semester in college. This guy jumped in the fucking league, Mel. Come on now.
Yeah, that's cold-blooded. That's why I got him ranked top 10 easily.
Yeah, come on now.
Yeah, he top 10 easily. Yeah, he one of them ones for sure.
All right, appreciate it, man. Great show, man. Everybody like the channel, share and subscribe, and it's a great channel, man. I love it.
All right, big dog. I appreciate the call.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Caller from Idaho. Hey, do you like potatoes?
That's a pretty good question, isn't it?
What's good?
You got me all right? Can you hear me fine?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's your thoughts?
Hey, this is TA with Dominque. I've been following your channel for a minute.
What's good, brother? How you doing?
Hey, not much.
We had a little slight back and forth about the Caitlin Clark stuff, man. Now, we friends again now?
Oh, you thought we weren't friends because of that?
No, I ain't think that.
That's called friendly debate. Friendly debate. I didn't make it personal. You didn't either. That's what it becomes.
Of course. It's always respect, brother. Always respect.
Well, and I don't follow WNBA enough. I've been following it a lot this year because of just got more exciting.
Yeah, it did for sure. But what's your thoughts on this topic, though?
Hold on, am I echoing? Let me get rid of that.
No, you good. You good.
Okay. No, the first thing I wanted to say is just in regards to that last caller. Actually, is that sometimes I feel bad almost that LeBron fans think that those of us that choose Jordan don't like LeBron, or we think he's a terrible player. I mean, maybe it comes across that way sometimes because the way we react when we defend ourselves or give our opinion on it.
Yeah.
But I think most of us that know basketball, and especially yourself, where you're a basketball channel and you're very versed in basketball, especially the NBA, like we know LeBron's one of the best to ever lace it up. Like we know that. We don't need the stats. That's what LeBron's fans will usually point to. We don't need that. We've seen what he's done, and we know that he's one of the best. We do. It's just we don't quite think he stacks up to Jordan, for a lot of reasons. But number one, I just wanted to point that out because I've caught myself even at the local pub before talking sports with somebody, and you could tell they're that kind of person that just right away, oh, LeBron's the best, by far the best. He doesn't have any reason So then you find yourself saying, LeBron sucks. And then you catch yourself and you're like, no, I don't mean that. He doesn't suck. He's amazing. It's just we don't believe he's Jordan, right?
Correct.
We just don't. That's just, we have a lot of reasons. But what I actually wanted to ask you, though, just because I wanted your opinion on this, is so I'm kind of like Muggsy Bogues. I think Jordan's the best ever, but I've always said we'll never truly know because they can't play each other. And so that's kind of what I feel like even Jordan would, but his answer was always, well, I didn't get to play against those guys, so how can I say I'm better? And to me, that's the best response anyone could ever give to that.
Correct.
But, that's where the stories come in, though. We like to try to pretend or analyze who might be able to perform in different eras and would they still be the best or as good as they were. What I want to ask you is, so I have my opinions on this, but Jordan plays today. I think we all know scoring becomes, if anything, easier, right? Probably a better score. His defense was never really based too much on physicality as far as what he's known for is blocks and steals, but he obviously played physical because it was a physical league. But I don't know that he would drop off much just because of today's rules. So what could you point to that Jordan would suddenly at all drop off on had he played today? And then take LeBron on the flip side of that, because some of his fans might say, hey, he's so big, he dominates. It's like, well, what about Shaq and Ewing, Elijah? What about these guys that are in the paint that he has to contend with that he doesn't have to now? Does three-point shooting really translate to that era when people actually guard you? Just wanted your opinion on that. Like, do you?
Yeah. So
to me that matters in that debate.
See, so and so that whole scenario is so weird because if you're being realistic about it, if Michael Jordan was playing in this era, that means he was born in this era, right? So he would have grew up playing basketball different, right? So it's a lot of things that would have been different, and then I mean it just would have been so different. So so realistically we kind of can't just assume that he would still be the same, but just in this era. But if we
for fun, let's pretend that the
all right. So
same
for fun, if we was to magically drop MJ from that era and just take him out of his prime and then drop him in this era for a season just to see how he would do. Oh man, someone that went through the Detroit Pistons and that physical NBA, overcame it, reached the top of the mountaintop, three-peated twice, had all types of adversity, played both ends of the floor, developed his game so much where he perfected the mid-range, perfected the post, all of those things. If you was to take him and drop him in today's league, no physicality, no big man in the paint.
Right.
Bro, he listen, whatever he wanted to average, he would average. If he said season just for one season, game one, and he looked at his coach and said, I think I want to average 40 this season, he could average 40. I don't know if it translates to winning, but if he wanted to average 40, it'd be that easy. Think about it.
Well, it'd probably be a similar path to what his actual career was. Think about his highest scoring seasons. They were before he was winning.
Yeah.
He'd probably do the same thing. He'd be scoring 42 a season for a few years, and then he'd probably realize, hey, this is probably not the best way to win.
Correct.
Then he'd average 35, probably more assists by far, because it's just an easier passing league. Did you ever listen to that? I think you might have done a show on it, but did you listen to that Kenny Smith
I did
podcast with Mark Jack? That was one of the best I've heard in years.
I did.
When the guy breaking that down. How amazing of a breakdown was that?
Yeah.
To understand the whole passing better because of facing the basket. And,
correct.
I mean, that makes a big difference.
And
people don't always think about that.
And you got to
stuff.
think about this too. There's not too many people who mastered the game enough. So right now, the best players in the league, the way they get their points, you give your best player the ball, you spread the floor with shooters, and you give him a screen at the top of the key. And after he actually get to a shot that he liked, he's already dribbled the ball 10 to 15 times and probably had the ball for about 15 seconds, right? Think about Michael Jordan only having 2 to 3 dribbles in 3 seconds and getting a high percentage shot from mid-range that you just can't stop. Think about him doing that. Think about how many more shots he would get up in this NBA. Like normal people is taking 15 seconds to get a shot. MJ, all I need is 2 seconds, 3 seconds, and 1 or 2 dribbles, and the shot is up, it's mid-range, and it's cash. Man.
Right.
Unreal.
Yeah. Kind of just circling back to the way I started the whole conversation. I think the biggest thing that Jordan had, because I'm more of a football fan. Grew up a basketball fan. I followed the NBA my whole life. When it did get to the point where the game wasn't quite what I enjoyed anymore, which is why I find podcasts like yours and others, because we're kind of old school and what we'd prefer the NBA to be. And it's just not that anymore. I still follow it, but I don't watch games every night like I did growing up when the Bulls were on WGN, and I watched every Jordan game, right?
You're right.
But kind of circling back, like being a football fan, Tom Brady's my GOAT, but at the same time, Tom Brady's not the most athletic that ever played. He didn't have all those things that I call the perfect storm come together. Jordan just did in basketball. He was the most athletic. He put in the work because his first half of his career and the second half were two totally different players as far as what his strength was. He relied on athleticism for the first few years, and then it's like he almost looked ahead, or Detroit did a lot of it, but he just learned to play a whole different style, back to the basket, fadeaways. It's not like he came out with that. He developed it, and then he has the mental edge, and that to me is the difference between him and LeBron. If LeBron had that same exact, and that's hard to put, you're born with that, I guess, or you're not, and he just not quite got it. He's got a lot of mental strength, so that's the storyline, I guess. That's where the storylines come from. He was able to accomplish what he has, which is amazing to his credit. But you put the ball in his hand with 10 seconds left, and Jordan, you always kind of know Jordan's where most people lean. Most people lean that way, right? Well, there's a reason for that. That's the mental strength. And that's hard to develop, I guess. Maybe repetition sometimes it comes later.
So you
Tom
onto
Brady
something.
had in football.
Yeah, but you onto something. You onto something with taking the football, because think of it this way. Tom Brady did have the mental toughness, man. Tom Brady.
Yes, he had the Michael Jordan mind and the Michael Jordan preparation.
Correct. So put it this way. So Tom Brady, not the physical gifts that another quarterback like Lamar Jackson might have. Lamar Jackson got the speed, arm strength, all of that stuff, man. He can run, quick twitch muscles, all of that stuff, right? Tom Brady has the brain, the work ethic, and the
leadership. Leadership kind of goes with the mental side of it. But
so imagine Tom Brady with all of that mentally, right? And then imagine Peyton Manning with as far as a quarterback with the most technical gifts. Like, he's a prodigy. He's been working on this since a kid. He's the most technically sound. And then imagine Lamar Jackson, the best athlete at quarterback.
Put them together
and put all those into one guy, and that's Michael Jordan.
Matted stuff there.
LeBron is just Cam Newton with the body.
Well, and the IQ, I guess. I don't know how big of a Cam Newton fan you are, but I love Cam Newton. I think, especially for what he did for Carolina, but that's a whole different topic. But as far as IQ wise, of course, I would personally pick Manning over Cam Newton for that. But I get what you're saying. Like, he's just almost there. Like, if he just had one more of those intangibles, he may have been the best ever. But that one intangible he was missing it's big. It's all there is.
Couple of intangibles he was missing, and a couple of skill sets as well.
Let's take Mahomes right now. See, I'm not a Chiefs fan. I got one of your guys on your panel that's a big Chiefs fan.
Yeah.
And I'm getting karma because I grew up a Patriots fan, Tom Brady. So, of course, they won everything, got all the right calls at the right time. I know all this. And so now the Chiefs are that new team. And so this is karma that I'm facing because I voted for the Patriots all those years. And I guess the sports gods hate me. So now the Chiefs keep winning. But when I see Mahomes, I'm like, okay, I don't know how much Reed plays into it. That's something that time will tell if he ever gets to play, which he will. Reed's old enough. He'll get his years without him. But he could be like that guy that has all of it because he's athletic. He scrambles. He makes all the right runs at the right time. The guy's got an arm. He may be Tom Brady that actually is athletic, but I can't give him that just yet. I don't know about you, but I can't quite do that. He's a little too young still.
Yeah, I'm still watching, man. But hey, before you go,
okay.
I got a little bit of extra cash. What stock should I be buying right now?
What? Oh, for the cryptos?
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually, now, in my opinion, now is kind of the time to be doing that. But I'm more by the safe stuff. I still think something as simple as like Doge or Shiba. I know that sounds like a mean and easy answer, but I don't like turning people on to these low Well, first off, you probably can only. What do you have? Coinbase? Is that what you buy on?
No, I'm using some other stuff, some other things.
I was going to say, because I use some of these exchanges that aren't even allowed in the United States, where obviously we're both from.
Yeah.
And so I use VPNs, and I use, I got myself an ID from a country called Palau, which it is legal to do that. I'm technically a resident of Palau, or Palau. I think it's Palau. But I'm able to submit that to these exchanges that require KYC. So, I mean, I buy a lot of coins that, most people wouldn't be able to buy.
Yeah.
And so I think those may have more upside. If you just ask me to hop on Coinbase, for example, and buy a coin or a couple, I just go with those. I think they'll still do really good.
Doge, people still. Where's Doge at now? Hey, is Elon still tweeting stuff out to manipulate Dogecoin?
Not yet, but he probably will when the time's right. That's what we call in the crypto world. We call that once retail enters. Retail is like your fancy. That's your casual word for sports that are casual. They loosely follow.
Yeah.
In crypto, we call those retail. They're the dumb money, I guess, is the rude way of saying it. They're the ones that only show up when everything's up 200% and they're hearing about it on the news. So then they suddenly show up and everything goes up 10 times more than it was.
I had Doge a while ago, and every time Elon would tweet, he would tweet
last bull run.
Right. He'll just tweet the picture of the dog, or he'll tweet what's their catchphrase? Is it to the moon? I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
He would tweet that, and every time he tweeted it, everybody would just dump money in it, and I would just see it would rise.
There was actually guys that I knew that I hadn't quite learned how to use it yet. There was guys that would use automated buying bots, where they were set up to follow Elon's tweets. And as soon as Elon tweeted, they'd have a bot set up that would automatically buy and then sell X amount and then later. Because a lot of times they'd pump and dump, because that's just how that works when someone tweets.
Yeah.
The dumb money buys, the smart money quickly sells that bought it before the tweet or whatever, right? So, yeah, there was guys that I knew that would literally just have a bot set up and, Elon just tweeted. I'm up 23% in the last 10 minutes. So that's, I'll send you a separate message on a few other coins, especially I got to find out what exchanges you have.
Okay. All right.
There's probably some better options, but thank you for taking your time, man. I appreciate it. I love your show.
All right, brother. Thank you.
You have a good night.
All right. Yep. All right, let's get one more phone call on this before we go to Tim Legler, man. One more call. That was a good call. I appreciate that. Caller from Chicago. What's up?
Hey, my number say from Chicago, but I'm actually from Maryland. I was stationed in Chicago, and I ain't seen no reason to change my number since I got out the sport.
Yeah, I figured you wasn't in Chicago presently, because I didn't hear any gunshots in the background. But
it's funny because my homie, a cop out there, he working right now. He just showed us some stuff, so it's high. Stay high out in Chicago.
Yeah. What's your thoughts though?
So my thoughts, and not delving too deep into exactly what Muggsy said, but just as far as like what you and the last caller was talking about, dropping MJ in today's game in comparison to what we've already seen from the players actually of today, I feel that that's unfair in a sense. I think you would need to really get a glimpse of what MJ could do in this time. And we're speaking hypothetically, clearly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You would have to take him at his best with his team, not just MJ. Because even if you drop MJ, the system of defense and the players, it's all going to be different, So I think that to really see what he would do, you would have to take, let's say, the 91 Bulls team.
I don't think that's fair.
You don't think that's fair?
No,
because
taking the whole team. No, we want to see what MJ would be like in this era, not the Bulls.
But then I'm kind of agreeing with what you said earlier about to put him in this area, you assume that he would grow up differently. He would play differently, right? And just hear me out. If you just take MJ, just him, and drop him in here, the players, the system, because a lot of players in today's league have really come up off the AAU system. They're not going to be receptive to how he plays unless you want to sit here and assume that MJ is just going to score every single possession because it ain't no big down there and he's going to get the ball every possession. I think that's unreasonable. because I still think that he would dominate. I'm not trying to not say that. I'm an MJ fan. You know, I'm a basketball fan. Let me say that. I respect MJ as the greatest out of what I've seen in my life. But I don't think that if he comes down and he plays him, well, everybody's just gonna spread the floor and it's gonna be isolation every time. I don't see that happen.
I mean, I mean, I don't know. All I do know is less defense.
That's a fact. And I also think, like, when we talk about, you know, what MJ would do in this era, I think another thing that works in his favor is that we got to see the shell of himself, and we got to see his technique really highlighted, even though short, through his Wizards years. Those 2 years he gave us in Washington, he was playing against Kobe, Carter, AI,
Sean Marion, Paul Pierce,
all of them. And I'd be going back just to watch them games. Like, I watch a lot of old games. And I was watching him versus T-Mac the other day, when T-Mac was, you know, kind of dominating in the first half. Or actually, it was Carter. It was when they played the Raptors. Carter was dominating in the first half. And, you know, Jordan wasn't doing too well. He was doing all right. But in the second half, Carter got shut down by MJ. Now, this is 40-year-old MJ, 39, 40-year-old MJ. And just going back to that game, it showed me, because what took me to that game was what DeMar DeRozan had said. You know, he was like, if you go back and actually watch Jordan, he was better than, you know, some people saw that. And I was like, out of all the times I watched the old games or whatever, I never really thought about it like that. And he's playing against modern age talent. So I was like, let me go back and check it out. And then I went to him playing T-Mac when they were averaging both about, like, it had came up in the game that I watched, like 23 and a half points, like 6 boards or something like that. That was just at one point in the season, not for the whole season. And I was like, yo, MJ was killing him, and he's not doing it with athleticism at all. Defending, you watch him defending, you watch how he gambles when he goes for pokes and steals. You just watch how, like what DeMar was saying, you watch how he played, how he mastered it, how he kind of got the game slowed down, you know, literally living and dying by that jump shot. He's living and dying by that jump shot. And it's just, man, he really was great as a shell of himself. If you add athleticism to that and you put him in today's league, or even had put him in back then in that 2000s league, like, bro.
Yeah.
It's like he would have been killing. He would have been up there with the best of the best. So,
of course,
anybody
he
that would ever
and whatever was in his heart, in his chest, whatever the talent level was, he was going to figure out a way to go above and beyond that. So whatever they was doing to stay on top, he was going to do 10 times more. So imagine MJ in this era being even better than what someone like Kevin Durant is. Like he just would have been. I mean, it would have been unreal, man. I don't even want to imagine it. It's you know, it's like a pit bull fighting a chihuahua, man. Like, you know, so.
But I think that's the intangibles that make a difference, though, when you think about it. Like, I don't know if you ever watched Kobe's interview with was it Lowe's or Louis Lowe's or whatever. It was like a 2-hour-long interview, and Kobe was talking about inspiration, and you know, he was like, part of inspiration is to inspire the next generation or whatever, right?
Right.
But even going deeper into that, one thing about Kobe is he was talking about how when he was like 11, 12. He played basketball against, you know, in one of them leagues or whatever, and he didn't score no points. But his dad had told him, I love you if you score 0, I love you if you score 60.
Right.
And Kobe said that after his dad told him that, he could play with all the confidence in the world to fail. But that helped him, because now he knows, shit, if I fail, I still got love. But my point is, the intangibles of mindset really steer how you play that game, how you play basketball. And I feel like Kobe and Jordan, they had a very similar mindset of, yeah, call me a ball hog, call me selfish, blame my arrogance, but this is what I know I can do. I'm going to do it. And when you compare that to, like, let's say a guy like LeBron, I don't really know his situation. I don't know him personally. Clearly, you don't know him personally. But I don't know if his dad was in his life. I don't think he was. But I think little intangibles like that played a part in how his career ended up. You know, because we look at the LeBron today, you know, we think, man, this guy don't take accountability. He says things that just like, you know, why are you not humble? And, you know, we think that he's manipulation media. Like we think certain things, but it's probably because of the intangibles that affect how he plays on the court.
Of course.
And I think, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that when you look at like Kobe, the talents of Jordan, I mean, hell, look at a guy like D Wade at one point, Dirk. Like you look at these guys and you like they played with a certain like, I don't care, I'm going to get it type of mentality. LeBron, he can play like that, and we've seen moments and highlights where he has. But in too many opportunities to seal the deal or even to not get swept, I feel like he doesn't rise to that occasion, even though he could have. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's
and then, you know, I'm not going to talk your ear off, but I think I'll end, you know, because I know you got a show you're doing. And I love the show, respect it. I never get to call in, bro. This is my first time calling in.
Oh, for real?
I be in the I'm SP Cropper, man. I be in the comment section lighting it up when I get a chance. But,
yeah, I appreciate that, dude. Yeah, well, I'm sure by the time you got through.
Yeah, about time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm gonna just say that if you're gonna be the greatest of the great with the scoring abilities of, you know, like taking away the big men that we consider great. If you're gonna be the greatest of the great with scoring abilities like MJ, Kobe, and LeBron, if you airball free throws, and there's a compilation of you airballing free throws, you can't be the GOAT. You can't be the GOAT when you flop the way you have. You can't be the GOAT when you done quit and you done choked. Like you just can't be the GOAT. You can be a GOAT, because I'm with a lot of people where we don't hate LeBron. We just don't take that slander and that lie of he's the best player you've ever seen or he's the GOAT because of how long he's been playing and all that unimportant stuff. Like there are just certain things that kind of push you further away from being number one, even in a debate. So he can't be, and that's how I want to end it.
All right, man. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the call.
Yeah, no problem, man. Deep.
All right. We'll move on, man. But the last thing I want to say about it is, that's just the difference between when you speaking, you know, on behalf of LeBron. You know, you're going to grade the resume, and when you're speaking on the behalf of Michael Jordan, you're going to grade the player and the resume. Excuse me. Yeah, you're going to grade the player and the resume when you're speaking for Michael Jordan. So, and you know, I mean, it basically boils down to how good can I make you look on paper, right? How good can I make you look on the resume versus how good you actually are as a player, right? So with LeBron on paper, how good can I make you look? Oh man, you got this record, you got this stat, you average this, all of these things, right? Let's make that look good. You know, you play with your son, you won with 3 different teams. You won in Cleveland for the first time. You came back from 3-1 against Golden State. You beat the best team in history. Like, you know, on paper, that's great. But when you grade the player, the better player is Michael Jordan. And he won more. And he won more in less time. Right? And he did it on both ends of the floor. Right? It's clearly the better player is Michael Jordan. But you know, if I want to play forever to make sure that I have the best stats and the best career on paper, then that's what he's going to go for. So how good you make me look on paper and how good you actually are as a player is totally 2 different things. Let me take this last phone call because it's a member. It's Greg Anderson. So oh, well, Greg, call back, Greg. I'm gonna get you in before I move. All right, there we go.
All right, Greg.
All right, Greg. What's up?
Hey, what's going on, man? Let me just say this, man. You know how I know Mike is the GOAT? It's for 2 reasons. You proved it today, man. You didn't turn that Jehovah Witness, that Jehovah LeBron James Witness into you done brought him, you done showed him the light. He got on the phone talking about LeBron the GOAT. By the time he got off, he was like, well, he got this flaw. But no. But tell you the truth, I know Mike is the GOAT because because of this. His kids ain't shit. His kids some losers. He done got divorced. He done been a part of scandals. They don't take none of that against them. They just write what they see on the basketball court. But when you start talking about LeBron, it's like, oh, he's a philanthropist. He's straight out of high school. Nobody had this much pressure. Never made a misstep, or all this extra curriculum that don't have nothing to do with the game of basketball. But the last thing I just want to say, hey, when you was playing that Joe Smith clip, I was like, man, I remember Joe Smith, man, back in the days when I used to watch ACC basketball when he was at Maryland. And that was back in kind of like the Fab Five era, like right after Chris Webber. And I was like, man, he was a first pick. And then I started thinking about like all of the first picks that LeBron played with. And so I started doing some research, man. He didn't play with AD, Shaq, Dwight, D-Rose, Kyrie, Greg Oden,
Lord have mercy,
Joe Smith,
Mike Beasley.
He didn't play. It's probably like a couple of more that he didn't play with, but I think my battery died after I kept going to the next stage.
Yeah, that's a lot of number one picks. Lord have mercy. Sheesh.
Yeah. So okay. So the last thing I want to say is like I remember I'm from the Chicagoland area, and I just remember like as a child.
Sorry to hear that.
Like being like 9 or 10 years old, and when the Bulls lost to the Pistons, and I just remember being over my buddy's house and crying when the Bulls lost. After that year, man, I didn't cry again, man. All we was doing was going down to Grand Park, like all through high school. That's all the Bulls was doing was winning. And then every year we would go out of town. We would either go to Alabama or go to Atlanta. And the Bulls was like undefeated on all of the trips we was on. Like, cause they used to play the Knicks on Christmas. We won all the Christmas games. We'd be down there with our Chicago starter jackets on and getting all kind of play out there. And man, don't nobody know what that feeling unless you was there. Because I remember like the Bulls being down by 5 points, and you just know that, man, if they can keep it to within a one possession game, the Bulls gonna find a way to win. LeBron don't give you that feeling. The only other player that gave me that feeling was Kobe.
Sheesh.
LeBron ain't got it.
Sheesh.
All right, I'm gone, man. I'm listening.
All right, bro, man. That's a bar. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Man, LeBron don't give you that feeling, man. You know, it's a different. I mean, I guess it got too much baking soda in it. It ain't pure. I guess. You know what I mean? All right, let's move on to Tim Legler, right? And we'll just keep it with the GOAT thing. You know what I mean? We having a conversation about this, right? So Tim Legler recently gave his all-time top 10, and it caused a lot of noise. He was on ESPN. He gave his top 10, and I'm gonna play it for you. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can set it up because I'm gonna have to pause it because it's a long clip. It's a long clip, so I'm gonna have to pause it while I play it. So, basically, I go ahead and give you his top 3. He had Mike, LeBron, and Kareem. He had LeBron at number 2. What I thought was interesting, though, is when he gave his top 3, and he said it was obviously Mike at 1, and he spoke about, the 6 rings, that tells you something about this guy, right? Then he got the LeBron, and he was like, in LeBron number 2, and he was like, we talk about a LeBron, like he just glossed over it. He didn't really say why. He was just like, oh, it's LeBron. And then he got the Kareem, and then he talked about Kareem's glorious career from high school to college to the NBA. And he talked about his 6 finals MVP, or his 6 MVPs and his 6 rings. But I was like, why he didn't have more to say about LeBron? I thought that was interesting. I was like, do people really not have anything outside of 40,000 points, points, rebounds, and assists to say about LeBron? I thought that was interesting. And then when he got toward the top 10, on the back end of the top 10, he mentioned Kobe, and he was like, Kobe is just like Mike. Obviously he got 5 rings and he's just like Mike, killer mentality, great scorer, great on both sides of the court, right? And then he got to number 10 and he said Steph Curry. And he was like, yeah, he's got the 4 rings, and all this stuff. And I'm like, that's interesting, right? He mentioned the rings a lot. I'm like, but what's different about Steph Curry and his rings is that 2 of them was really Kevin Durant's rings. I thought that was interesting, right? And if you don't think that the 2 rings that Steph won with Golden State while Kevin Durant was leading that team, I'm interested on why you don't think that the 4 rings that LeBron has, you have to kind of think the same way about him going to Miami on Wade's team. Like I'm trying to figure out what's the difference between Wade and inviting LeBron to his team and then LeBron leading that team to 2 rings, while LeBron gets the credit for those 2 rings. But when Kevin Durant did it, when Steph invited him there and Kevin Durant got those 2 rings and 2 finals MVPs, we give the credit to Steph. I thought that was interesting. We'll get to that part, but listen to how he broke this down.
Going to let any list go unquestioned ever. They check it twice. Tim, they came for you. Even though you're actually had a pretty good point, it was pretty measured. I think it's time to solidify your top 10 here.
First of all, let me address these people that were coming at me, okay? I had people sending me top 10 lists with 12 names on it. Folks, do the math. That's why this is a hard exercise. Sinead, right. That's the whole point of what I'm saying. Now, here's the thing. It's an opinion. Like, if you say your favorite color is blue or yours is yellow, I am not going to say purple's a better color. You're wrong.
Someone on social
It's subjective, right? Somebody on social media will.
All right, that's the preamble.
Is my opinion, right? Now, there's tiers to this thing.
Level.
So there's 3 for me. No debate whatsoever. You're going to get the hair up on my neck. You want to try to debate me on these 3. I'm going to go MJ 1. You got LeBron and Kareem. That's 1, 2, 3 for me. MJ 6 for 6 in the finals speaks a lot to me. The fact that he won all of those at one franchise means a lot to me. LeBron James, obviously, we've talked about him enough. Everybody knows where LeBron James ranks historically. Some people even have him number 1. I think he's the only guy that's a legitimate debate with Michael Jordan for the top spot. For me, it's MJ. And then Kareem, one guy's got 6 MVPs, 6 rings. It's that guy. He also had 3 titles in college. So Kareem, for me, Cap, and also one of the most unstoppable offensive individual shots this league has ever seen. Skyhook, scoring leader for years and years and years. Those are my top 3, not debatable.
All right, so he said that's not debatable. Those top 3, right? He gave reasoning for Mike. He gave reasoning for Kareem, but for LeBron, he was just like, everybody know what LeBron ranks. Like, no, everybody don't know. I don't have him number 2. I would like to hear why the great Tim Legner has him ranked number 2, but he didn't give us that luxury to hear why he got LeBron ranked at number 2. He just said, hey, man, we all know where he ranks at. It's like, all right, look, man, we've all agreed because it's been said so many times that LeBron is right behind Mike. LeBron is right behind Mike. It's almost like they purposely threw him in the GOAT conversation, knowing he didn't have a chance to be compared with MJ, but that automatically puts you at number 2. If we're comparing you with MJ and it's always a debate, at the worst, you fall to number 2. Of course, we know you're not better than Mike, but we skipped everyone else. We didn't debate you with nobody else up the list. We took you right to MJ, take me to the king, right to the king, debated it. It was obviously not a debate, but now you fall to number 2. That's what it is. So we've said it and repeated it so many times that it's almost the truth now. Like he said, we all know where LeBron is at, number 2. No, we don't know that. What do you mean we all know where he's at? And you don't give no reasoning to why you got him number 2. And here's another thing I don't like about how Tim Legler and a lot of people do this thing with the GOAT debate, right? Where he said it was subjective and everybody, got their own personal list. Okay, that could be, I can agree with that, right? I can get with that. It's personal, right? But what I don't like, I still want to see some type of integrity, even with a personal list, because Just because it's just your personal list don't mean that you could just not have a criteria at all. Like I want to know why. Like if you're going to share it with the public, I want to know why you created this, and it shouldn't be different for every person, right? That's not how criteria work. That's not how you judge people. That's not how you list or rank people. Imagine me ranking who I don't know who the who the best anything is, and we use a different grading scale for this player, and we use a more strenuous grading scale for this player, but for this player we use a more linear grading scale. Like, how is that even a cool thing, right? So for MJ, 6 rings and 6-0, and for Kareem, he had to get 6 MVPs and 6 rings. They both had to get 6 rings, but for LeBron, 4 is okay, and we all know that he's number 2. Like that's all. That's how they graded him. 4 is okay. Like Mike got 6, Kareem got 6, LeBron, we all know he's number 2. Who got a harder grading scale? Like what are they grading LeBron on? What are they grading him on? No one ever mentioned Kareem being the GOAT because he had the record in scoring, because we know he played 1,000 years like a dinosaur to get those points. It's not that impressive. Now that LeBron's doing it, it's impressive, right? So one player had to get 6 rings to be number 1, and one player had to get 6 rings to be number 3, but all LeBron got to do is win 4 times on super teams. That's a harder grading scale, right? So just keep that in mind, that grading scale for LeBron.
These are the top 3, not debatable. Perk, you're our list captain on this show. I'm just checking with you. Not debatable, yeah?
You know what? Like Leg say, it's your preference. Some people like to drink Ciroc. Some people like to drink Hennessy. At the end of the day, they both get you drunk. I'm not mad at these top 3 here. I'm not mad at these top 3 at all. I would have Braun at number 1. But again, watching Jordan on those highlights remind you again, is like, it have you rethinking things. But again, that's why it's a conversation.
Exactly.
I'm not mad
You good
at
with us seeing the next 3?
I am absolutely
All right.
great with this.
Let's see the next 3.
Next 3 also for me, I think they have to be in your top 10 somewhere. For me, I think these 3 guys will be in that 4, 5, 6 category. When you look at Bill Russell, Magic Johnson, greatest floor leader this league has ever seen, greatest point guard. Bill Russell, the ultimate winner. And nobody did it at a higher level. And then Wilt Chamberlain, what he did statistically in separating from the guys that played during his era, and even to this day, when you look at any sort of record list, Wilt Chamberlain's name's going to appear on any list more than anybody else's. The physical dominance that he brought to the game and how unique he was. For me, those 3 guys absolutely have to be in your top 10. Again, non-negotiable for me.
Yeah, historically.
All right, so the next 3 guys, Wilt, Magic, and Bill Russell. Russell, 11 rings, dominant force defensively, okay offensively. But the 11 rings is like a big deal. Magic, 5 rings. 5 rings. A lot of MVPs. I mean, that's a lot of heavy lifting. Wilt, almost all, just record book, just took all the records all over the place, scored 100 points, all this crazy stuff, didn't win as much, right? So I get why how Wilt is outside of the top 5, he's actually in the top 5, but I get why he's on, he's not in the top 3. He didn't win as much. I get why Kareem was ahead of him. I get why MJ is ahead of him. I even get why LeBron's ahead of him, right? But I'm still looking at what other players had to do to be considered great. Wilt had to get almost every record in the record book. Magic had to win 5 times and be as great as he was. Kareem had to win 6 times. Mike had to win 6 times. Russell had to win 11 times. LeBron 3 times is enough with a bubble ring, 4 times on super teams. I think that's interesting.
Yes, I like this with the championships going from time to time, so I'm here with this.
Okay, so that means we have 4 spots left here, Tim. Look at the names maybe we haven't mentioned yet here. We're talking about
We got another list. All right.
Yeah,
And look,
yeah.
by the way, I think the graphic was too big. We ran out of some spaces. I think Hakeem could probably be in this along in this group.
So he finishing off his top 10. He said, he's showing the list on TV, and he was like, Hakeem could probably be in this, but he's not. Hakeem repeated 2 straight MVP season, MVP and Defensive Player of the Year in the same year. Probably the best center that we've ever seen besides Kareem and Wilt, maybe. At the very least, Hakeem's the third best center we've ever seen, right? For me, here's the standard, right? But he's not in the top 10. He's outside of it. He got Shaq in it, though. He got Duncan in it. But listen.
I think Kevin Durant even can technically be a guy you'd say, hey, he's a top 10 talent of all time, if not a top 10 career. But this is what I reduced it to, these 6. So it comes down to this.
So he said KD could probably be in there. He's definitely a top 10 talent, but he might not have the top 10 resume, which is interesting because he's got an MVP. He's got 2 finals MVPs. He got 2 finals, and he's got 3 finals appearances, right? I don't think his resume is horrible. He's gonna finish as a top 5 scorer of all time. I don't think his resume is horrible. He's been a 50, 40, 90 guy, right? He's got 3 gold medals, maybe 4. He's got the all-time leading scorer in Olympic history for Team USA. So he's got some things. The gold medal that he got, not this time, but the last time, where his best player was Jason Tatum, who couldn't even get off the bench on this team, which lets you know how crazy stacked this team was. But when Kevin Durant played, his second best player was Tatum and Booker. And then he was surrounded with JaVale McGee and Keldon Johnson, Draymond Green. Like, these are the guys he went down there. They lost a game early, and then he put the team on his back, went straight to the gold medal, and destroyed people, right? So he actually led a team for real to the gold, right? And he's got 3 or 4 gold medals, all-time scorer. I think his resume is pretty good. So to say he's top 10 talent but not top 10 resume, I'm interested to see what his explanation for having Steph in.
Pick 4.
Yeah.
And make your arguments, and you're not wrong, by the way. So I'm going to go chronological order for me. I got to put Larry Bird in there. And now, look, this is where I have the one little bit of personal bias.
Okay.
My favorite athlete of all time. He changed the course of my life, literally, because I was a baseball guy till Bird came into the league. I love those Celtics teams in the 80s. It was right when I was going into high school when he got to the NBA, and it really changed what I wanted to do with the course of my life. There's a reason I've got a picture of Bird and Magic behind me on a lot of my home hits, because it always reminds me of that era of basketball and why I fell in love with the NBA so much. So I've got to put Larry Bird in there. And then I'm going to go next with Kobe Bryant. I'm going to put Kobe in that top 10. I think for me, closest physical profile to Michael Jordan. But
another hard thing to do. You got Michael Jordan as the GOAT and the best player you ever seen. And for Kobe to get in the top 10, he had to be just as good as Michael Jordan and win 5 championships and play both sides of the ball his whole career, be one of the best defensive players that's even in the top 10. Like, if you look at the top 10, there's only 2 or 3 defensive specialists or anything close to a defensive specialist, and that's Mike, that's Kobe, and that's probably Russell, if you got him in there. But Russell is he's not the offensive player that Mike and Kobe is, and Hakeem, right? So you take Russell out of it, for a guy to be the primary go-to guy for points for their team their whole career, and then also be a defensive stopper, a great defender, Kobe, Mike, Hakeem, maybe Duncan in the list. And then Duncan wasn't even relied upon for points his whole career in San Antonio. So take Duncan off. Kobe, Hakeem, Mike in the list. Anybody in the top 10 that had that responsibility. Right? So Kobe had to be a great defender on both sides of the ball his whole career, a great scorer, a great off-ball player, win 5 championships, and get his game just as good as the GOAT to be in the top 10. But LeBron, all he had to do was get 3 rings and a bubble ring, not be that good defensively, not play defense his whole career, form super teams, and then definitely don't reach the level of the GOAT as far as how good you are as a player on both ends of the floor. But for Kobe to be in the top 10, he had to do all of those things. LeBron didn't. For him to be number 2. I think that's interesting.
Similar size, very similar game, two-way player, incredibly intense and motivated.
He said the best two-way player. Lord have mercy. Why Mike had to be the best two-way player and Kobe had to be the best two-way player to get in the top 10, but LeBron didn't.
Also, tremendous clutch player, was not afraid of the bright lights. In fact, relished it. And I think getting those 2 rings after he separated from Shaq cemented it for me with Kobe Bryant and winning those 2 titles with Pau Gasol. Next, we're going to go Shaq. I look at Shaq and I go,
Kobe 3-peated and 2-peated. LeBron never 3-peated. He 2-peated with a super team. Kobe beat a super team when he 2-peated. Just saying.
Most physical, dominant, offensive force during his time. Unstoppable force. Of course, had to pair up with Kobe to get those rings, but won 3 finals MVPs alongside another guy that I just said is a top 10 player of all time. And he got all 3 of those finals MVPs. Shaq in his prime, people can forget about that. I got a taste of that as well. I did get to play against Shaq also in his early years, the leaner Shaq years, actually. And then
there's only one left.
There's one left. My last spot, Steph Curry.
Oh, okay.
I said it. I'm going to back it up. I'm putting Curry in there.
Steph Curry over Hakeem is diabolical. Steph Curry over Isaiah is diabolical. All right, so listen to this, though.
4 rings. And
he said 4 rings. So he does have 4 rings. He got 2 rings as the number 1. He got 2 rings as the number 2. Kevin Durant got 2 rings as the number 2. I mean, as the number 1, right? On Steph Curry's team, right? So when you really look at what they done as the number 1, KD got 2, Steph got 2, right? But as in totality, Steph got 4, right? But if you're gonna include that, his rings as a reason why you have him in the top 10, I think you should mention that, oh man, he was the number 2, because that's what they do to Kobe. Like when they mention Kobe's 5 rings, they be like, well, 3 of them was with Shaq as the number 1. He was the number 2. Well, 2 of Steph Curry's is with Kevin Durant as the number 1. And I think it's very rich that Kevin Durant gets taxed for joining Steph Curry and the Warriors and winning 2 rings and being the leader on that team and the finals MVP for those teams that won 2 rings and almost got them a 3rd one until he got hurt. I think it's rich that he gets taxed for it and we act like those 2 rings don't count, but we just count them towards Steph. And then it's also rich that when you look at the similar situation of LeBron James going to Miami and him leading Miami when it was Wade's team and he already won with that Miami organization, but we count those rings toward the 4 rings that LeBron got. I just think it's rich that LeBron gets total credit for his 4 and Steph get total credit for his 4, but somehow Kevin Durant's 2, we not gonna really count those, right? I think that's funny. And what makes it mad is that everybody be like, well, Steph won without Kevin Durant, he won before and after. So what does that mean? Does that mean that the 2 that he won with Kevin Durant, all of a sudden we just go act like Kevin Durant didn't lead that squad, right? Like it's almost like you can't be R. Kelly and make the sex tape and then go make Heaven I Need a Heart and then we forget about that sex tape. So that's what Steph did. We can't forget the fact that you actually was a number 2 behind Kevin Durant. You actually needed him to beat LeBron. Kevin Durant actually led y'all to the finals and to the championship. and through that finals and that championship, got finals MVP both years. And then because you won after Kevin Durant left, that we just going to pretend like those two that you won with Kevin Durant didn't happen. We're gonna just pretend like Kevin Durant wasn't there. Like that good deed that you did without Kevin Durant means that you would have won those two if Kevin Durant wouldn't have showed up. That's what people want us to believe. Like, oh man, because he won before KD and after KD, that means that the two he won with KD, he still would have got those two had KD never showed up. They want us to believe that. And then they want us to tell us that Kevin Durant would have never won a ring if he never went to the Warriors. This is crazy witchcraft work to me, the way they think, right?
I think, listen, here's what plays into it for me also. It's obviously stats, it's winning, it's personal accolades, it's all that. I think there's another element to it of must-see TV and also how singularly unique you are. There's one Steph Curry historically. There's nothing been anything close to what Steph Curry does, how he plays, and the way he makes guys better without touching the ball. It's unlike anything this league has ever seen. And he's got now some Hall of Famers next to him in large part because of him. Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, Steve Kerr. All those guys are going to be Hall of Famers in large part to his talent.
So this
storyline, I think that was diabolical. I mean, it's his personal top 10, cool. But like your reasoning, I mean, your reasoning just be so weird when people try to, come up with that stuff, man. I think I got mine. Let me see if I can pull mine up. Do I got mine? No, that's my MVP list. How about this? I'll just do this. I'll pull it up from here because I got it here. Here's my pyramid, and of course I got MJ up top. I got Kareem too, and I got Mike and Kareem both in my top 3, just like Tim did. But instead of LeBron, I got Kobe there. Because like I said, I grade the player before I start looking at their resume. Like, you give me the names of the greatest players, let me grade how complete they are as a player, right? And then let me grade their resume. And when I add both of those together, that's gonna have you where I put you in my top 7 tiers, right? So I got Kobe 3. There's Wilt 4, Bird 5, Magic 6, Russell 7. Then Duncan, then Hakeem. Now that's very hard, the Duncan and Hakeem thing. That is very hard. But the resume for Duncan, as far as winning, supersedes Hakeem's. It was very hard for me to put Russell and Duncan ahead of King. It was very hard for me to put Wilt ahead of Hakeem. I really want Hakeem to be right after Kareem. And I think as a player, Hakeem might be the best outside of Kareem for big men. But the resume is really good, but those other guys that's how I got it. And then I got LeBron after that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I got LeBron in my top 10 at number 10. Right? LeBron is probably the first deck stacker and the only deck stacker I got in my top 10. So I'm giving LeBron a lot of credit. He's the only deck stacker in my top 10. The most diabolical deck stackers in this previous era of basketball and the era right before this one, it's Dwayne Wade, LeBron, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and Shaq. Those deck stackers are diabolical, right? Whatever penalty you tax Kevin Durant with, you must tax Wade, LeBron, Bosh, Shaq. You must tax all, and Steph. You must tax them with the same exact tax for stacking the deck. Right. So Shaq number 11, Isaiah. What people really do that's weird is if you ask who the top 5 point guards is of all time, they say Magic, then Isaiah, and then the debate becomes, is Steph number 3 or is Oscar Robertson number 3? It's a debate there, right? With recency bias, with Steph getting the record and his most recent championship and stuff like that, people would want to put him above Oscar very easily. And then some people started putting him above Isaiah and trying to start the debate between him and Magic, but that died out really quick. And seeing Sacramento handle them the way they did, it really don't have a lot of legs to stand on, right? Because without the whistle, Steph Curry would not be this player that everybody think he is, right? That whistle helps a lot, right? So when all actuality, people will actually put Magic and Isaiah over Steph as a top 5 point guard, but when they start ranking the GOAT list, all of a sudden Steph gets ahead of Isaiah, and I'm like, how did that happen? Like, most people will admit, even Michael Jordan would admit, that after Magic, Isaiah is the best point guard we've ever seen. And a lot of people will admit that. But then when they talk about GOAT, they don't mention Isaiah and they go straight to Steph. I think that's very I think that's very weird, right? So Isaiah, then KD, Oscar, and Steph, right? So that's how I do my list, and everything after that is really debatable. I probably missed out on having Elgin Baylor and Jerry West somewhere on there. That last tier, I probably would rearrange it because on second thought, I don't think Barkley should be above David Robinson. I don't think he's that high. So everything on 6 and 7 can be readjusted, but I'm pretty set on my first 5 tiers for sure. Right. So that's how I got it. And like I said, I grade the player, and then I grade the resume, and that's how I got it. I open the phone lines up though for sure. Let me see if I can get this picture corrected. I open the phone lines up while I read these comments. I'm only taking 2 calls on this one. They're gonna be short calls. Call in, let me know what y'all think about Tim Ledler's top 10. And how you come about your top 10 list, and if you agree with how I did my top 10 list. You said, where do I have Shaq? What do you have Shaq? Where do you think Shaq should be at? I had Shaq at number 11. You want him to go higher? You think Shaq better than Hakeem? Right? I don't think Shaq better than Hakeem. I don't think he better than Wilt. I don't think he better than Kareem. Yeah, so it's gonna be very hard for you to, convince me that Shaq should be. LeBron isn't even the best small forward ever. That's Larry Legend. You know what? I go back and forth on that. Sometimes sometimes I think it's LeBron. Sometimes I think it's Larry. But I got Larry ahead of LeBron on this list. So you're right. Larry is the best small forward. And the second best small forward, there's a debate for LeBron and KD, to be honest with you. It ain't just a foregone conclusion that it's LeBron. KD actually have an argument. So go figure. Other comments. All right, so we're not gonna get phone calls on this one. So I go. Oh, we do get a phone call. That caller from Texas, you can call back. I just missed your call. Caller from Mississippi, cut YouTube off in the background so I can not hear the echo.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. What's good?
Yeah, I think Shaq should be higher.
You think so? How high?
Yeah,
higher than number 11.
Better than Donkey. Yeah, he better than Donkey.
You think so?
Yeah, man, Donkey can't hold Shaq, man. You know that.
I mean, nobody can hold Shaq, but I don't think he's better than Duncan.
Yeah, he better than Donkey.
You think so? Why?
Yeah, because he can stop Duncan more than Duncan can stop him.
Yeah, but that's a different conversation. How is he better than Duncan?
His attributes,
What attributes?
his force, his power, his boot strength.
Yeah, so that means he's stronger than Duncan, more powerful than Duncan, more physically dominant than Duncan, not better. Who's the better basketball player?
You looking at the better basketball player who can go off the glass?
No. Just who's the better basketball player? Like if learning the game of basketball means that you had to master everything about basketball, who mastered more of basketball, Shaq or Duncan?
Yeah, well, Duncan.
All right, so that means Duncan's the better player. Yeah, so that means Duncan's the better player.
So well, you can use that analogy on anybody.
Well, I mean, you can use
you
it.
Get a street player that can dribble better than.
No, I didn't say who dribbles the best. I said who mastered more of basketball.
I'm just saying for his skill. Yeah.
Right. I'm asking, like, that's how I do it. Like, who mastered the most of basketball? Like, remember, we got a handful of guys that could be in the argument for top 10.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
I like your list though.
Right.
I like your
so
list though.
we get those 10 to 12 guys, and then we say, all right, let's rack them and stack them. And the first thing I'm asking is, who's the better basketball player? And then I rack them that way. And then I say, okay, what did they do in their career with their basketball talent? You know, who won the most?
But you know what I think about Shaq though? I think Shaq have a lot of resentment for himself by not achieving what he needs to achieve.
What you mean?
Like nowadays he's looking at Embiid getting a lot of awards, Joker's getting a lot of awards, and he kind of envy that. Not that he envy them, that he didn't maximize his potential to achieve more than what he achieved. Because Shaq probably had more than one MVP in the league.
Well, I don't think that was Shaq's fault. That was just, I mean, that's how the voters, voters voters psych themselves out.
Like Kobe said, during the off season, he don't, he don't work on his game, and
that was true.
It takes 6 weeks for him to get in shape.
Yeah, true.
And
I mean, I think that I don't think Shaq regrets any of that, because he could have not did that. He knew better at the time that he was doing it, and he had a good reason. He had an excuse that he thought was good on why he didn't do it.
Let me ask you this right here.
Go ahead.
If Shaq had Kobe mindset, what do you think Shaq would be ranked?
I don't know. I don't know if Kobe's mindset would I don't know if it'd change anything, because so if he had Kobe's mindset and Kobe's work ethic, that means he would have been out there trying to get just as good as Hakeem was on the low post. So instead of me just but I mean
one nobody on the block like Hakeem.
Yeah, but at 7'1", and Shaq, by his own admittance, said that he got up to like 380 at times. Exactly. But I think when he was in LA, he might have been around 330 at his best. But I think the last year in LA, he got up to like maybe 350, 360. Like, he was huge, right? So if you're that big, why would you use anything other than just your strength to just dunk?
Exactly.
You get what I'm saying? So like, it's hard to ask me if he had Kobe's work ethic, because if he had Kobe's work ethic, he would never be big and out of shape and fat. Like, he would have stayed Dwight Howard size.
Yeah.
Right. So he would have stayed like he was at Orlando. He would have been a lot like Dwight Howard.
I like Dwight Howard on the list. People forget about Howard, man.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he don't get a lot of respect, like he should.
Yeah, I mean, like, Dwight as a defender, if you just take away his offense, Dwight as a defender is a Hall of Famer and a top 75 player, right? Because Mutombo gets credit for being all Mutombo did was block shots, right?
Yeah, that's it.
He wasn't even a good defender as far as like switching on screens and guarding the
pick and
perimeter,
roll,
right? You know, and he
yeah.
definitely wasn't a good post defender. But as a shot blocker, he was unreal.
Yeah.
As a shot blocker, Alonzo Mourning was unreal, right? Those guys got in the Hall of Fame just for blocking shots. And here it is, Dwight was blocking shots just like them, but he was also defending the perimeter on screen and rolls. He also was guarding the post.
Yeah, he was a better perimeter defender than them.
Correct. And he also was scoring points and leading his team to the finals.
Yeah, exactly. He did
right?
that, man.
So for Dwight not to get the love is insane.
Yeah, exactly.
Insane.
Yeah. Yeah, I love your show, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, big dog.
Yeah, man, I love it, man. Yeah, that's all I do. I don't watch TV. I don't watch no YouTube.
That's what's up, man. I appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
I try to make sure I bring y'all good content, man. So
I know. I sure appreciate it. I tried to call the other day about the LeBron and MJ debate.
Oh man, I wish you would have got through.
Yeah, because the debate is really not about Mike and LeBron. LeBron want to be better than Kobe. That's the whole thing. So the argument would be, well, put him at 2 then. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they know he ain't better than Mike. He just want to be better than Kobe.
Yeah. I see where you at. But man, I appreciate the call though. Let me get one more call in here so I can move.
Okay, man, I appreciate you, man.
All right, no doubt. Yeah.
All right.
That Texas phone number, I think that might have been Young. You can call back. So Swish said Bill Russell didn't master the game better than the King. That's correct. He didn't. A lot of people didn't master the game as good as Kareem. So admit that you're biased at Man Down Sports. No, just admit that you don't listen. So I said I grade the player based on a standard and based on who mastered more of the game, and that gets you at a certain point on the list. And then I grade your resume and I put those two together, and that's where you end up on the list when you put those two together. So obviously Bill Russell don't have the game that Hakeem has. So Hakeem grades higher than him as a player, but when you grade the resume, Bill Russell don't grade as high as Hakeem as a player, but when you grade the resume, Bill Russell's resume blows Hakeem's out of the water with the 11 championships, right? So just admit that you don't listen or you don't comprehend. It's not that I'm biased, but I will admit I am biased. I'm biased to my own standard. Once I create a standard, and once I bounce that standard off what pure basketball is, I'm biased toward that. So you're right, I am biased. 100%. Caller from Texas, what's up?
What's going on, Mel? I'm surprised Young didn't call in, man, from all the shit you're talking about LeBron, man. Have he called in yet? The guy Young?
Nah, he ain't called in, man. He might be working.
Oh, shit. Oh, hey, Young, I understand that. Hey, I like when Young come in, man, because he be talking shit, but that dude be having some facts a little bit, man. Not saying that they 100% facts, but I don't know if he Googled it before he called, but he be coming in with his shit, man. Little clipboard, man. He be coming in, man, with shit.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know about the listens for. I heard LeBron and people and stuff like that. I don't like talking shit about LeBron, but it's when they talk about the top, and I know everybody got their own projection, think about it, their own little thing about it, whatever. That's cool. I'm only torn because I feel like LeBron don't got a winner mentality, man. Like, how the hell is he top 5, top 10, man? And I'm not trying to talk shit, but you know how some people, like, they don't got that dog in them. They don't got that, like, that thing in them. Like, some people are just, like, they've been told and praised for so long that they feel like, yeah, but some people ain't got that dog in them, man. And I don't feel like LeBron got that dog in him. And I'm not trying to take away nobody's thoughts on him. I ain't trying to focus nobody top 10, top 5. But I don't think LeBron got that. He don't got that competitive thing in him, man. Like, it's some people out there, man, that's going to play with a broken neck, man. They just want to beat your ass on Thursday, man. I don't think LeBron got that in him, man. I don't think he got it in him like that, man.
Yeah, we like to see that. And I don't know what he got in him or not, man. But, I know whatever it is different from what Mike and Kobe had. I just don't, I don't know how to identify it. And I don't want to identify it because it's something you can't see. You can see the results of it, and you can see, you can see the fruit of it. But so I mean, what I would say is, MJ is the standard, and I know when someone's not meeting that standard. I say that.
Nah, I understand with that, man. I mean, he's a great player. I mean, it's a lot of great players out there, and at the end of the day, I'm never gonna really 100% bash him. I used to play basketball, and there was a guy on my team that was quote unquote better than me, and we used to play one-on-ones after practice sometimes, and I would beat him. But I knew he was better on the court than me. But I always knew he's not a winner like me. You know how some guys, they good, they go out there, drop their 20, but you might see them smoking the weed. They may go fuck around and go fuck around. Me, I'm really trying to work on my game. I got the jump soles on. I'm running stairs. I'm trying to work on my game. Yeah. And I'm not trying to knock my boy. He had game, but you know how some people got game and they know they got game. They go to the playground, they do their thing. They got game, but they not really like doing the extra shit. And I'm not saying LeBron don't do it. I'm not saying he don't. But when I watch the guy, he's a great player. The guy's great.
Well,
no knock to that.
You know, Pat Beverly on his podcast, they asked about, he played with Kawhi, he played with LeBron. He said, man, what's the difference? And he said, as far as work, as far as work outside of practice, who's working on their game the most is Kawhi. And he said, who's in the gym working with weights the most is LeBron. And that's how he described it. He said, man, I ain't never played with nobody who worked on their game as much as Kawhi did. You know what I mean? So you might be right about that.
Hey, man, keep doing your thing. I got a quick question, man. Just real quick. Who's your top, like, all-time greatest? You're going in any era. Who's your best point guard? Like, this guy in any era, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, like, he going to go in there, he going to dominate, he going to manage the floor, make everybody happy. He don't got to drop 50 on the points, but he's just a badass point guard that can fit in anybody's era and take care of the team, be a great leader, and, just do his thing. Play defense, too. Like who's your number one point guard? I'm just curious.
If I'm doing a greatest of all time list for point guards, it's going to be Magic, Isaiah at number 2. At number 3, I'm probably going to go Steph. At number 4, Oscar. And at number 5 is a debate between J. Kidd, Stockton, Pistol Pete, CP3.
Okay.
You can debate number 5. I usually go J. Kidd, but sometimes I be like, is it time for somebody to take over that number 5 spot for J. Kidd? I don't know. So J. Kidd is my 5 man just because of the defense and what he did as a point guard. But number 5 can be had. Number 4 can really be had if you really think about it. But I think the top 3. I think the top 3 is Magic, Isaiah, Steph.
Magic.
Yeah.
Okay, so you would take Magic and go in any decade and say, hey, man, let's go to LA Fitness. Drop to LA Fitness. In every era, you will go out there as the point guard and let him do his thing. In any era, right?
Yeah,
pretty much, right?
6'9", can get a bucket. Can get a bucket if you want to, but smart enough to know if I got a guy that's they can get a bucket, I'm gonna set him up. I'm gonna run the offense. I'm gonna run the team. Like, that's what your point guard really is supposed to be doing. Like, hey, look, I'm the coach on the floor. I'm gonna make sure our best scorer can get the ball where he want it, and I'm gonna make sure our guys who need a point guard's help to get shots, I'm gonna make sure they get shots. And then what happens when a team is concentrating on your best scorer and concentrating on taking other stuff away from you? That's when the point guard is like, y'all forgot I can score too, and then he just come down and he giving you buckets. That's what Magic did. That's what J. Kidd did. That's what CP3 does. That's what Rondo did. That's what Stockton did, right? So I'm going with Magic all day long, or either Isaiah.
Okay, I need to watch more videos because I need to see if Magic was a great person or a great. I'm not saying he's not great, but I need to watch more videos to see how he did when he didn't have a whole lot of talent around him. Because anybody can look good. Like, I look good if I got a lot of heat around me. If I got knockdown shooters. If I got big man that dunk on everything, hooking everything, shit, I'll look good if I can hold the ball.
Yeah. Watch him in college. Watch him at Michigan State.
Okay, Michigan. Okay.
Yeah, watch him at Michigan State.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay.
All All right, let's get one more call in. One more, then we're gone. J Sports 99. I said you was trying to call. You can call back. Said using males list LGBT. LeBron is top 3 as an athlete, maybe pass after Magic, Kid, and argument Bird. Nothing else. He is top 3 and nothing where is the GOAT thing. I don't know. Caller from Pennsylvania. What's up?
What's up, brother? It's J Sports, man. Jeffrey Young.
What's good? What's your thoughts?
Watch you all the time, brother. I'm really from Jersey. I just moved out here.
Oh, no doubt.
I'll just be using your list so we don't have to go all over the NBA, all over the world. But this LeBron thing is crazy to me. What I mean by that is, if you think about the top 3 as anything that got to do with basketball, I'm talking about mentality, shooting, dribbling, passing, defense, and all that stuff. He ranks top 3 in athleticism, maybe passing after like I put up there after J Kidd and Magic, maybe between him and Bird. Nothing else. Name one more thing that he ranks in the top 3 off of your list. And why would he be part of any kind of GOAT debate as far as basketball? He's not even top 3 in resume.
It's one of the greatest. It's one of the greatest tricks and greatest mysteries I've ever seen in sports, man. Like, this must be how everybody's gonna get tricked into worshiping the Antichrist. Like, I don't understand how they smoothly did this, where we just gonna say he's the GOAT and debate him with Mike, and all of a sudden he gets to be number 2. I don't even know how they did that. Like, everyone is repeating it. And I mean, it's crazy. It's almost like when Bush lost the election against Gore, but Fox was like, "Nah, Bush won," and everybody was like, "Oh, well, maybe he did win." It's like some type of Jedi mind trick. I don't know how they pulled it off. Like, it baffles me. Like, I'm like, man, how is this the guy that we're talking about at number 2? Like, seriously, it's not even a real debate. So yeah, I don't know.
If you remove that spell they done put on everybody, and for me, myself personally, if I went back and I was in hindsight, watch how everybody played and every single thing. And they had a draft. It's people not even on your, it's people like, I'm picking Dave Robinson. It's like, it's mad people that I would be picking drafting number 1 if LeBron was on that board, if I'm starting a basketball team. So, like you said, I don't know how they got it off. I appreciate the show. I watch all the time. It's my first time getting a chance to call in. But I'm here for you, brother.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks, Jeff.
All
right, man. All right, let's move to our last topic. D Wade is getting a statue, y'all. And Pat Riley. So this is what I like about Pat Riley, man. Pat Riley is like a old school, hard-nosed guy. Like, you're not gonna find too many people like Pat. No nonsense, speak his mind, tough nose. I remember Shaq telling a story about him and Pat Riley almost about to fight in practice, and he said he was about to destroy Pat, but Pat wasn't backing down. Like, Pat like 1,000 years old. So, I like his attitude. I like, I like Pat, man. But he retired Michael Jordan's jersey in Miami, and he said nobody's going to wear number 23 in Miami. This jersey's retired. Michael Jordan never played a game for Miami. Right. It's crazy that he got the Roonies to sign off on it, the owners of the Miami Heat. But they signed off on it. Pat Riley thinks that number 23 should be retired across the entire NBA. I agree. So if y'all ever wonder why LeBron changed the number 6 when he came to Miami to form the super team, it's because 23 was retired. He couldn't wear 23. And Pat wasn't about to unretire that number for LeBron either. So that gives you a thought process or the mindset of Pat Riley, right? So last year, Dwayne Wade, or earlier this year, a lot earlier this year, Dwayne Wade, probably about 8 months ago, Dwayne Wade got his jersey retired in Miami. LeBron's still playing, so I don't expect him to get his jersey retired just yet. But I think he should get it retired in Miami. I really do. So one day LeBron will have his jersey up in the rafters in Miami. I hope. But at that retirement ceremony, the jersey retirement, Pat Riley announced that he was going to give D Wade a statue next year, the following year, and that was news to D Wade. This is how that sounded.
What else we gonna hang from the rafters? We hung a couple of championship banners and, Atlantic Coast Conference banners, and then we hung a gold medal banner. Then we retired your old butt. We hung it from the rafters, and the Hall of Fame we put up there today. So what else we gonna hang from the banner or from the rafters? I think we're gonna put a bobblehead like out there. Next year will be a statue 8 feet tall. 8 feet tall. We wanted to make sure it was bigger than Shaquille O'Neal. It'll be the first statue ever that they'll be here on Biscayne Boulevard, Dwayne, and it is forever for the greatest player in the history of this game, man. I love you. Next year, everybody right here will be a statue.
So that was at the inside the arena. The day he retired his jersey, he said, "Look, man, we giving you a statue, the first statue. Nobody else, not Shaq, not Alonzo Mourning, who also was on that championship team with D Wade. They didn't get one. Not Mashburn, not Tim Hardaway. Like, who else played for Miami that, because Miami is one of those expansion teams. I think it came in, I don't know, around that time, maybe Charlotte and Orlando. I don't know. Miami is not that old, right? So I'm trying to think who else would get a statue. D Wade is going to be the first one. He has a retired jersey. He has a street named after him, Wade County. That's the house that Wade built. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're doing so much stuff for this dude. That lets you know how they really feel about him. And now they're giving him a statue, the first one. And I know it's gonna be dope. Right. So I thought that was really interesting, right? And another thing happened. I remember when LeBron James, when they lost to San Antonio the last year LeBron was in Miami, and Pat Riley had a press conference after the game, and I think they asked him about what's going to happen with the big three. Are they all coming back and all of that stuff, right? I'm going to play for you what he said, but I want you, while you listen to it, to keep in mind, while you listening to it, just think of these words. Does LeBron have a home in the NBA? Is it Cleveland? Is it Miami? Is it LA? Does he have a home? Is anyone going to give him a statue? What does he deserve a statue at? Right? Do they feel the same way about LeBron than they do about Wade? You get what I'm saying? All of these things are valid questions. And I want you to listen to what Pat Riley is saying.
You want to trend something? I'm pissed, okay? So go ahead, get it out there. I think everybody needs to get a grip. Media, Heat, players, organization, all of our fans. You got to get a grip. This stuff is hard. And you got to stay together if you got the guts and you don't find the first door and run out of it if you have an opportunity. I didn't come down here 19 years ago for a quick trip to South Beach and get a suntan. I can guarantee you that. And I don't think they did either. And so I think all of those guys, that have come here have gotten exactly what they wanted. They got the best competition, on the biggest stage. And we won 2 of them. They have the right to pursue those options and think about those options. And, whether they stay the way they are or whether they opt out, then we'll know what we have to do. But I don't take anything away from what LeBron had to say. he has to get away and he has to think about it. What really cements a forever bond is going through what we went through this year and staying the course. We'll find out what we're made of here. It's not about options. It's not about free agency. And we need to retool. We don't need to rebuild. We need to retool.
Our NBA insider, Chris Broussard, here with us on SportsCenter. So Pat Riley playing his own version of truth or dare, if you will. What did you take away from his game today?
Well, I thought it was a strong performance. I thought what he said was very powerful and impactful, and it'll give LeBron James a lot to think about because it was directed at LeBron. You know, Dwayne Wade has said he wants to come back. Chris Bosh has said he wants to come back. The other guys aren't as significant. LeBron is who that was directed at. And it was calculated, and it was intelligent, and it was a performance, as I said, because 4 years ago, I don't think Pat Riley went to Cleveland to meet with LeBron and say, you know, Jordan, after he didn't win it his first 6 years in Chicago, he stayed put. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He was probably saying, look, you need to go somewhere where you can win championships. You look at these rings I have. So, you know, there was some people might accuse him of a little hypocrisy because, you know, you wanted LeBron to leave. You didn't say he should stay. Right. You said run out the door. But I do think it was what he said was strong and what he said was logical. And there are only a handful of people who have the cachet and credibility to get away with double talk like that, if you will, over the years. And Pat Riley is one of them.
So what kind of impact does that then have on LeBron? If Pat Riley has the cachet to do that, how does LeBron take it?
Well, he respects him a lot. I don't think he'll take it as disrespect because Riley was very careful to say, you know, I love LeBron. I respect him. He's a winner. You know, he threw enough of that in so you can't say he just went at LeBron and attacked him. But he just put it out there in a challenging way. Look, we know how great you want to be and how great you are. You know, Pat Riley calls LeBron the GOAT, the best of all time. He was kind of saying, you're too good to be running away because we lost. You're the best player in the world. You're too good to hop around and look for the best situation, the best teammates and all that. You are the best player in the world. Make it happen here. And we do have good players around you, by the way. So I think that is what Riley was saying. I think it'll give LeBron a lot of food for thought. And I do think at the end of the day, he'll probably be in Miami for one more year at least.
Interesting thing. Number one was two things. One that Pat said, one that Chris Broussard said. He said that what he think Pat Riley is saying is, you're too good to be running to another team just because we lost. We got all the pieces you need to win. We just won with this team two years in a row. All right. We can keep winning here. You're too good to be running. Right. That's number one. Number two, Pat Riley said himself, like, great players don't just run to the next best opportunity when you see some adversity. And what was the adversity that LeBron was facing? Well, the adversity he was facing is that he got to see Wade have to ice his knees every single game before and after just to get ready to play. He had to get fluid drained out of his knee pregame. He had to get him iced up and worked on post-game. So he looked at his co-star and was like, I can't get it done with that. Like, I can't go another year. Like, D-Wade barely was playing these games. And I seen what he had to go through just to play those games. He looked at that and was like, nah, I only got 2 rings. I'm trying to catch Kobe and I'm trying to catch Mike. And my co-star is done. I can't wait to get another co-star. He's on a max salary. He's pulling max money, and so is Chris Bosh. So if my co-star, I can't get another co-star in here, I won't get another championship. I'm afraid to try to do it by myself. He's too banged up. I need a fresh new co-star. And he looked over at Cleveland and was like, oh, perfect opportunity. The storyline fits right. I'm going back home to bring them a championship, and they got a superstar in Kyrie Irving over there. And then I can get them to get that number 1 pick and trade for a third guy. So I can get ultimately the same exact thing that I got here in Miami, an unstoppable scorer in Wade and a great third option and Chris Bosh, I can get that same thing in Cleveland with Kyrie and Kevin Love. And then I can replace Ray Allen with a J.R. Smith type shooter, which he did. So he looked and was like, how can I get this same thing but younger in another situation? And that's what he did and went to Cleveland. The difference is Michael Jordan did the opposite. He looked at Scottie Pippen. He looked at Scottie Pippen the last year they played, The Last Dance. And Scottie Pippen missed half the season because he got elected to get toe surgery right before training camp. And he missed half the season, and he out there by himself with Dennis Rodman making it happen. And then Scottie Pippen comes back, and he's still banged up. And guess what happened to him in the finals? His back gave out on him. If they didn't win that last game 6, they wouldn't have had Scottie Pippen for the next game. That's how bad his back was. Michael Jordan got that done. He looked at Scottie Pippen and seen how banged up he was and was like, I still want to play with him because that's my guy. I still want to play with him. Bring me back or I'm retiring. Bring back Pippen and Phil Jackson or I'm retiring. And oh, by the way, bring Rodman back too with that big heavy knee brace on at the age of 36, 37 he would have been. Bring that old guy too. He wanted to stick it out with the old guys. He didn't look and say, well, look, man, I'm 34, 35, and I got more juice left in me. I can't get with these old co-stars. Let me go find some new, fresh co-stars. Guess who the new, fresh co-stars would have been if Michael Jordan was gritty enough to say, I want more rings. Let me just team hop. Michael Jordan could have went after he retired. He retired. I can't play with Phil. I can't play with Pippen. I retire. I take a year off. When Phil came back and got that job in LA, and he looked over there and seen Kobe, who was already a all-star, and Shaq, with Phil Jackson, the coach he said he wanted to play for. If Mike was really chasing rings and chasing legacy, he could have came out of retirement and said, I'm going to LA. As a matter of fact, I think Phil asked him, can you come play for us and mentor Kobe? And he said, no, because I'm going to stunt his growth. But if he wanted the ring chase and chase legacy, he would have jumped on the bandwagon and three-peated with Shaq and Kobe. Now imagine Michael Jordan's legacy with 2 3-peats in Chicago and a 3rd 3-peat in LA. Do you think Michael Jordan on that Lakers roster would have messed the roster up? You think they would have 3-peated? Absolutely, they would have 3-peated. Imagine Mike with 3 3-peats and 9 rings. He could have chased that legacy if that was what was on his mind. But he didn't play for that. So when he did come out of retirement, it wasn't to chase no ring. He came and played for one of the worst teams, the Wizards, the Bullets, or the Wizards. He played for the Wizards. And he said the reason why I wanted to play with them was because they wasn't playing with enough heart, and I wanted to come down and show them how you leave it all out on the floor. Does that sound like LeBron? I'm going to go play for one of the worst teams so I can show them how to play with passion. Nah, he wants to go play with the best talent. I'm going over here, but this team that we got here that ain't working, trade all of them. Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, Larry Nance Jr., Julius Randle. It don't matter who it is, Kyle Kuzma, all of y'all got to go. Give me AD, give me as many as great players as possible. That's what he did. You know what they would have looked like if Jordan would have did that for the Wizards? He would have got there. They had the number 1 pick. They picked Kwame Brown, right? He had the number 1 pick. He would have been like, no. Let's see if I can trade for Duncan. Duncan, force San Antonio to trade so you can come on here and play with me. Force them to trade. And if they don't trade you, I want you to sit out until they trade you, which is what LeBron did to AD. Hey, AD, I want you to come play over here in LA, but I know New Orleans don't want to trade you. So force them to trade you and sit out. We'll get the deal done. Mike didn't do that. He didn't say, hey, let's take this number 1 pick and all these other players is on the Wizards and let's go get Tim Duncan from San Antonio. And if they say no, Tim Duncan, you sit out. and force them to trade you. He didn't do that. Like, think about this. Right? So go back to that question. Do you think Pat Riley wants to give LeBron a statue in Miami? And does LeBron have a home anywhere in the NBA? Because if he don't get one in Miami, who's going to give him one? Is it going to be Cleveland? Cleveland makes sense because that's his home. Cleveland might give him one. But is LA going to give him one? The way he's snoozing up to Jenny Buss, she might get soft enough to be like, all right, we'll give LeBron one. But if you give LeBron a statue in front of LA, every statue that you got there means nothing. You get what I'm saying? Like, the value of anything goes down if you flood the market with it. Like, if they're everywhere. They only, like, if they make a certain Maybach, they're not going to make 10 million of them. Right? If they make a mint condition once in a lifetime Michael Jordan rookie card, if it's 10 million of them out there, the value goes down. But if it's only 10, then that's a valuable card. Right? So if you just start flooding LA with statues, everybody can get one. I mean, it's a slippery slope. If LeBron got one for the bubble ring, give AD one. Why not give AD? Why wouldn't AD get a statue? If LeBron gets a statue in LA, why wouldn't AD get one? If LeBron gets a statue in LA, why not give Dwight one? And if LeBron gets a statue in LA for one bubble ring, you got to give Paul Gasol one for a repeat. Like, so how do you pick and choose who gets statues? I don't think he's done enough in LA to deserve one. I don't think he's done enough in Miami to deserve one. His identity is not Miami. His identity is not LA. His identity is really team hopping. His identity is really stats. So maybe Wikipedia can give him a statue. Maybe the Wikipedia can change their logo to a LeBron statue. Maybe, because his stats and Googling stats, that's his call. That's his name. That's his call to fame. That's his claim to fame. Stats. Maybe Google. I don't know. But as far as an organization, a team, you bought one ring to Cleveland. That's their first ring. Maybe they give you one. But LA, Kobe said it himself, man, we are in the business of winning titles and hanging banners. We're not in the business of participation awards and participation trophies and bubble rings. He didn't say that specifically, but it's crazy. He said that, and he was like, man, we only hang championship banners here. Like, that's our standard. It's funny, he said that probably a year or two before he passed, and then not too long after that, they hanging a freaking bubble, not a bubble, but they hung a bubble banner, but then they hung an in-season tournament banner. And Kobe probably looking like, man, y'all made me do all that work for y'all telling me this is our standard, and Magic did this and Kareem did that, and you got me and Shaq busting our butt to get this junk, and this fella can just show up and get a bubble ring and an in-season tournament, and y'all go treat it like these rings I beat the Celtics for, our rival, the one that we're in competition for to have the most banners, period, in the NBA, and I beat them, and then I went back and beat Dwight in Orlando, gave you 2 in a row without Shaq, proved to y'all that y'all made the right decision by letting him walk and keeping me. I did that. And I was instrumental in a 3-peat. I had to give you 5 to get my standing and get my statue with the organization. And all he got to do is get a bubble ring in the in-season tournament. It cheapens the whole thing. Cheapens the whole thing. Nemo, we don't respect it here in LA. And y'all shouldn't. If LeBron get a statue in Miami, Ray Allen, Bosh get one. Don't forget Zoe and Haslam. Oh yeah, Rick Ross and Don Johnson. Facts. I agree. trophies don't mean, statues don't mean nothing if we just start giving them away. Like, this is pathetic. It's pathetic, man. When you think of Miami, the first name comes to mind is Wade, because it's Wade County, 100%. During the pandemic, nobody watched the Open Gym tournament. Facts. Facts. I was starting a podcast during the pandemic. True testament. All the people consider Michael Jordan is the greatest. So yeah, man. I thought it was interesting. D-Wade was getting a statue. I'm not gonna open the phone lines up for this one. I'm gonna go ahead and end this stream. I appreciate everybody. I did get a super chat from Jeffrey Young. I appreciate that. He didn't leave a message or a comment, but thanks Jeffrey Young for that not that super chat, but for that cash app. Right. Appreciate that. A lot of y'all probably don't know. Y'all can cash app me. The cash app, I think it's in the description box. I don't know. It might be down there, but that's another way you can support the show as well. And the cash app is actually better than the super chats, because the super chats, YouTube take a little piece of that off the top. But I appreciate either one of them for sure. The like button is the way you can do it without even, using any money. Like button is big time. A lot of people forget to do that. So make sure y'all hit the like button right now. And I'm going to give y'all one more word from the sponsor before I end this, just in case y'all didn't know that you can support the show by signing up for Underdog, or Underdog Fantasy, we used to call it, but signing up for Underdog and using the promo code Man Down Sports and placing some of your pick'ems through Underdog. But here's more information on that. Underdog Fantasy is the best place to play fantasy sports. I want to tell you about the easiest way to get in on some NBA action with Underdog Fantasy and their pick'em game. Just find your favorite player, or any player for that matter, pick higher or lower on that player's stats, and you can win up to 20 times your money in one night. Pick between 2 or 5 players to fill your pick'em entry. Get every pick right, and you can net yourself some serious cash. Use the promo code Man Down Sports and get up to $1,000 in bonus cash. Plus, now that it's football season, you can follow Man Down Sports as we reveal our favorite picks from week to week. Like I said before, pick your favorite player, pick higher or lower, choose your dollar amount, and win some money. It's just that easy. Make picks, win money. We also want to thank Underdog Fantasy for partnering with us, and we want to thank you for helping the channel out by using Man Down Sports on Underdog Fantasy. All right, man. So I catch y'all on Full Panel Friday this week, same time, 7:30 Eastern Time, 4:30 Pacific. Be here with myself and the Full Panel. If none of y'all have ever witnessed or seen it in the Full Panel shows, it's just as dope as my solo shows, man. So catch y'all on Friday. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. Peace.